Welcome to the American Fork Podcast, where everything's fake and the points are made up. How does that go?
That's pretty good.
Is that it?
Yeah, I like it.
It's accurate.
What is that off of?
It's
Whose line is it anyway?
Drew Carey.
Whose line is it?
Whose line is it?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I want to kick things off, jumping straight into Storm the Capitol.
Let's storm it.
So I want to get everyone's opinions, first of all, on if it was actually Antifa who caused this entire thing, or if they really were Trump supporters. So Jake, I want to start with you. Was it Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol?
When we say storm the Capitol, I think we're probably talking about two separate type of incidences. There were people breaking the windows to try and get in, and those ones, I believe, were probably not pro-America, pro-Constitution Trump lovers, but Antifa. That's my opinion. And the other ones, there is a lot of video evidence where police officers were just letting people in. And I think those are probably, most of those people were Trump supporters.
You think they were Trump supporters, but the police were actually letting them in?
Yes.
And you think that was coordinated?
I do not know what the heck that's about. I have no idea why they do that.
It's really strange.
It was, yeah. And, we had this discussion offline where it seemed like maybe, there's potentially a tactic that police officers would use to kind of gather the police officers together in the same area so that they could control the crowd.
Yeah, but I literally got that straight from Ben Shapiro, by the way. Like, I have no idea where he got that from. He did not cite any source when he said that. That's on his show.
Yeah, and
released today. He said, and he just made a comment that was like, this is a common tactic that they'll open a barricade so the people aren't so spread out anymore. Mm-hmm. And they're like funneling the people into a tighter area so the cops can have a little bit more control because they were way outnumbered. But I think that, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that makes sense to me. But there is obvious evidence that they were literally just letting people in.
Yeah, what's the video where they're just like lined up against the walls, just like letting people through? The last one that Jeff posted.
Where they're outside on the grounds or right at the door?
They're like in a hallway in the building. And it's like the procession guards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a little hallway.
Like,
yeah. I mean, they're not welcoming people, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah, they're just standing to the side.
There's a couple videos and photos of cops taking selfies with the people that stormed in.
Yeah, it was just all odd. I mean, there was a lot of knowing that something was going to, there was going to be at least knowing that there were going to be a lot of people there. And it just seemed like the police were very underprepared.
Yeah.
Underprepared or told not to.
Well, they
or supportive of the act, supportive of the actual storming.
Could have been. Well, either way, they didn't appear as though that they were ready.
Here's another
for something to
Well,
oppose.
I mean, okay, sorry, keep going.
Well, here's another option I'm going to throw at you. So we had all this stuff earlier in the summer, all these riots and things, and people came.
BLM. You mean
BLM, people came down on the police, the police are being too harsh, they're blah, 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 doing this and that. Could it have been kind of a statement by the police that, well, if we are to be less harsh, this is kind of what happens. We're kind of stepping back here because you don't want us to get.
If that is the case, that was really poorly thought out by the police, because they would have had to have known that, like, we were the way that we normally are, and that caused BLM, like a lot of people who are saying this is black on white violence, right? And then when white people, mostly Trump supporters, are the ones doing it, that's going to be their time to step down and not do anything to teach a lesson. Like, they would have to know that the optics of that would be really bad.
I mean,
right?
Just based on this sheer facts of like how the Capitol was prepared when BLM protesters were out there. Like, you have seen photos of National Guard coming in. The National Guard wasn't even called in for this, right? At least from my understanding. They were not called in for this.
They were eventually. Like, before everyone started to disperse.
Just saying, at the BML protests, they knew that beforehand, way beforehand, and they had prepared the Capitol with National Guards. This particular Capitol rush, National Guard didn't called in until when? Hours after it happened. So
a long time.
And that's strange, right?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, if this is the cops intentionally saying, "Oh, you guys think we're too hard, we're going to step back," like that choice is like makes them look really bad. I mean, they would have to understand that makes them look semi-racist to a lot of people in the country.
Well, they probably don't care. I mean, what they're really saying is, we're doing our job, and we've got to be hard with criminals, with people, because that's how they're being. It's like, we can't just be like, "Hello, sir, can you please do this? Excuse me." Like, and so it could be a statement that, hey, we're not going to clash with people, and look what happens. And yeah, it could be a misplaced. Maybe they should have waited until the next.
So is this just a supposition, or is this what you think?
No, I'm just throwing it out as an additional possibility. I'm not saying that's what I believe happened. I honestly don't know, but what I do know is it was crazy because, like Tyler was saying, they didn't call the National Guard in. They're going on this whole.
They did call the National Guard, and just not beforehand.
Exactly, and they're going on this whole impeachment thing, saying that Trump incited this riot. Right. So if Trump incited a riot before it happened, you would think DC police, the National Guard, everybody would be there, up in arms, full blown, and that's the thing.
Well, that's exactly what happened with the BML protests. It was gathered around in social media. Hey, we're going to go do a peaceful protest in front of the Capitol. National Guard was called in. Tear gas and rubber bullets were used when it kind of got out of hand. When this happened, nothing. They were able to storm right through, get to the chambers, do everything they could. Antifa or not, they were ill prepared, quote unquote, but it made no sense.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. It was just super odd. Like
Congress is pretty pissed.
It was criminal. It was illegal. It was.
There was a lot of there was a lot of vandalism. People died. I mean, it's like
at 5 now, right? The count is 5 people
who died. And what do we know about any of these deaths? Do we know?
I'll tell you. So one lady, I saw the video of it. I don't think I sent it to you guys. The one lady that was shot was being a total idiot. She got into the Capitol and was trying to get into a secured area. They broke a window. She was stepping in through the window frame, and they shot her. And so it's like, yeah, okay, you're kind of dumb. Like, to me, that was like, it's like what you guys are saying they should have done to stop people. That's exactly what happened with this lady.
Well, that's what I would expect. That's what I would expect. Like, coming through the front door, boom, boom, the first 2 guys are down. Everyone else is going to be like, "I'm out." Like,
yeah. You would think they'd be able to contain this like before it got to that point, though.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. But specifically on these deaths, literally every single other death to me has nothing to do with the riots. It's like one of the cops was so out of shape that later in his office he died. He got
hammered with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, but
that's nothing out of shape.
We need to talk about this one.
So wait, Mike, a cop got hammered with a fire extinguisher?
Or got bludgeoned hit in the head bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't that he was out of shape.
What?
His head was out of shape.
Yeah, his head was out of shape.
So, okay.
Do we have a source for that, Mike?
Going back to Devin's original thought process. Yeah. So I guess, Phil, what do you, were they, sorry, I can't think of the word now.
Antifa? I don't even know what Antifa is. So.
To be honest, I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either.
I hear that go around all the time, like in the Black Lives Matter protests.
When it was described to me, it's a democratic terrorist group, right?
And that really is what it is. Yeah. That is straight up what it is. They're on the far extreme side of the Democratic wing or whatever, the left. But they're violent, and
that's their number one tactic: is use violence if necessary,
and they're crazy.
It will promote your cause.
So they're not primarily black.
The other thing about that is they're not.
I think they're actually more white. I think they're actually primarily white, and I don't think that's like intentional, but that's just what it is.
So there could have been people,
and they all have shaved heads.
Antifa,
and they all have shaved heads.
Surely could have been.
There could have been.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
We just don't know. So the question being is your opinion. Would they be? What is it, like an Antifa conspiracy? Is kind of what we're going at, or Trump supporters kind of letting people in and do the thing?
I don't know what happened. I know Trump supporters were there in the greatest numbers. Obviously, I'm sure some of the people that broke in were Trump supporters. They said that this girl that got shot and killed was an Air Force veteran, right? And that her Facebook was like
It's a Trump.
QAnon stuff like that. QAnon or whatever. So
yeah. Mike,
So
would we agree that this was a mob?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a
When it's a
mob.
mob, it's more, I would say yes, some people like Antifa got it started and got the ball rolling possibly. But once you start breaking in and you just got the adrenaline going,
There's a lot of mob mentality.
Over, then it doesn't. Then yes, it's a mix of Trump supporters and whoever else just wanted to break stuff and cause chaos.
Yeah.
It originally went from protesting to mobbing, and then eventually described as insurrection.
Just like the BLM protest stuff. It was like peaceful protests, and then there are the bad actors who were most likely all Antifa starting it.
Is there any?
I have a huge problem with us. We keep saying that, but there's no proof of that.
Well,
it's Antifa.
Yeah.
Well, we know that
I agree.
Antifa posts on their website, there's going to be a protest in, Portland, Oregon. We're going to go there with guns blazing, and post on their actual websites that this is going to happen, and then it happens. So I think that's evidence enough.
I personally don't think you should even be comparing BML protests to the Capitol protests. There's no different. There's absolutely, they're not even in the same realm.
Why?
Why?
What do you mean?
Well, the motivation behind them is
because the
completely
BML
different.
protest was done under human rights campaign trying to create equality. The Capitol protesting was done because someone didn't win the presidency.
Well,
It's like a kid. It's
not
like a
entirely-
kid in elementary school protesting because he doesn't get fed for the day because of his
I don't
color of
agree with
skin,
that.
versus a kid protesting because he got tacos instead of pizza.
No, I mean, the motivation behind the protests, we can argue how much different they are, which they are. We're saying the infiltration of these, it's possible that the same people who infiltrated all of the peaceful protests, the BLM protests, are probably could be the same people who.
But to Mike's point, there's no evidence.
There's no
that
evidence
it's
of that.
Antifa.
Yeah.
That
Can
For-
anybody channel
not for
Beagle right now?
Not for the Capitol one,
But
for the other ones,
yes. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but no.
That was a good Beagle.
I actually, for a second, I was like, Beagle's on.
Yeah,
That was really good.
I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but no, you're totally wrong.
Oh, Beagle. No, but back to comparing the two. I would compare the two and say they were largely the same in the fact that largely both were peaceful protests.
Well, I mean,
with
based off the
few
comparison of the
agitators.
act of protesting, sure, you can compare the two, but the reasoning behind it is completely
But
different.
you're
Yeah,
saying
we're-
one is justified.
yeah,
and
we're
one
not
isn't.
talking about.
Well, I'm
the
not talking
reasoning.
about the looting and rioting. I'm talking about the justification. I mean, you protest
Yeah.
all you want for any reason that
Right.
you want, but to compare the two is just not in the same category.
I agree that the reasoning behind BLM protests is definitely, and a lot of people don't agree with it, but at least the people who are doing it for what they believe are human rights.
Yeah.
Right.
It
And
was
the
a human
reasoning
rights
behind
protesting.
what's going on, what just happened, storm the Capitol, is not human rights, but it is people who think that the election was actually stolen. And so they think the laws were actually broken.
So, in other words, we're mad that he didn't get elected.
So
Well, I mean, I think for some people it's that, but for some of them, they do truly believe that illegal
didn't
things
get
happen,
elected.
and that illegal things happen. And I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I think they're dumb.
It was,
That's my comparison. It
I think
doesn't
they're
make sense to
dumb,
compare the two.
but they truly believe it.
So it would
Okay, well,
make
let's
sense.
take one. Let's take one step back. Let's say for 1 second, in a hypothetical situation,
no.
that the election was
Let's
stolen. Like, let's never talk about hypothetical situations.
But just this one time.
Just as one side.
Oh, okay. So let's say, I don't agree with it, but let's say that somebody was trying to steal the election. How would they go about it?
How would one steal an election?
Yeah, so in this situation, how would the election have been stolen?
Just by being a Democrat and winning. Then it's a stolen
There you go.
election.
So I would.
Well, we gotta stop that steal then.
Yeah.
I would say that if to steal an election, you would have to either change the vote, right, by creating ballots or eliminating ballots that aren't
We're changing.
or
I thought it was
changing them.
Russia. My answer is just Russia. No follow up.
So-
Just Russia.
So you guys have seen Narcos, Mexico, right?
I have not.
Oh,
no.
okay. So in Narcos, Mexico, there's an episode where they get the they have a big machine in like I would describe it as like the stock market floor of election or whatever in Mexico. Like in the capital, they have this big machine and it's like tallying the votes and reporting them back to people. And the drug lord pays, and I guess this was a real thing. This is based on true events. The drug lord pays like the engineer behind this big machine that counts all the votes to not change the votes, but change the reporting of the votes to hugely favor the candidate that he wanted.
Are you ruining this show for us?
No, it's not a key plot point.
I don't plan on watching it.
But
I hear there's like 7 seasons.
So they changed the reporting to show way in favor of his candidate. What they were saying is that's voter suppression because it's going to get all the people for the other candidate to be like, oh, there's no way we're going to win. I'm not even going.
Okay.
So that would be a way of stealing. I mean, that was in the show, at least what the portrayal was, is that was like straight up corruption. That was like,
so to get around that, you do a hand recount, right?
No, because Phil's saying that there was enough people in the media saying that Biden was so far ahead and was going to win, and there were so many early votes that happened that not prevented, but I don't know the right word, discouraged Trump voters from showing up.
Right. So, and in the Mexico scenario, they called it voter suppression. That it was an actual way of stealing, quote unquote, an election.
But in this particular case, Trump was ahead at first, and then was not.
Well, when we were talking about actually counting the votes.
So,
but I don't think
but the polling before was showing Biden way ahead in virtually even in Texas.
Because you didn't hear anything about vote counting until after polls were closed, right? So that wouldn't discourage anybody. That couldn't have discouraged anybody. The voting was closed and done, right? I mean, I guess there was an hour or two in California.
Voting was closed and done.
Yeah, it's true. There was an hour or two where California wasn't closed, where they were talking about the numbers.
Right.
But that would be accurate. That's real.
But what I'm saying, I'm not drawing I'm just going back to Bolt's question is like, how could you steal it? And I'm saying you could steal it, not by actually physically changing votes or anything, but just by misinformation. You can, if you suppress voters through misinformation, and I'm saying that this happens on both sides of the aisle. That's a problem. I think that everything about the voting process, from the polling to reporting on each candidate, should be fair and equal. And if it's not, that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can agree on that. Now, did anybody watch or read the speech that Trump gave right before this storming of the Capitol happened?
I didn't. Did he give a speech before the storm?
You're talking about the speech at the rally that morning?
Yeah, I watched it.
So at the was it Save America rally? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I read the main transcript earlier. Just kind of went through it all, and he kind of went through systematically all the ways in which the election was supposedly stolen, and he obviously didn't back up anything. He just kept throwing out numbers. But if you are a big supporter of Trump and you keep listening to all this, you believe him, it's really easy for you to believe that the election was stolen, and that's your source of information. But the biggest thing that his main way that he thinks he won was he had his own, again, polling crew, and they said, well, looks, Mr. President, like you're going to have between 66 and 67 million votes going your way. And his mentality is, oh, sweet, that's more than I had last time. That means I'm going to win. And that was really his rationale. And he's like, oh, then it turns out, and then I had even more than that. I had 75 million. So if you think of that, then there's no way that I could have lost this election, other than, counting the other 80 plus million votes that the other guy got. So that's kind of where his mentality is coming from. And he's evoking that onto all of his followers.
Yeah, I think we went through this on other podcasts too. And I think we agreed that if Kanye West votes went to Trump, then he would have won.
Fair enough.
That poor man.
He had at least one vote amongst this group from Mike Kanye
what?
Mike didn't vote for Kanye.
I don't know.
I wish I did.
Not this time.
I wish I did too.
Not this time, but next time.
Poor Kanye, he's getting a divorce.
Is it really?
Is it happening?
Yeah.
Finally.
So wait, she's available?
Yeah, he's singled out.
He's available?
I think all of us are married. Oh no, not Tyler.
Tyler's
he's
not.
available.
So
Kanye's
he's
available.
Kanye.
I'm good.
He lives in California.
I'm good.
He's got $80 million.
I'm good.
Actually, probably a lot more than that.
He
He's
wears
the
a
next
red
Jesus
hat.
Christ.
So
He's he self-proclaimed himself as Jesus, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A long time ago.
I believe him.
And he's bipolar. Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I'm not saying that as
I-
like a
I don't
badge
follow
of
Kanye
disgrace.
very
I'm just
much.
saying as an explanation for some of his.
it's another
behavior.
bullet point.
Yeah.
He's
I heard he was tripolar. On the spectrum of polarity.
So did we kill the protest thing? That's all
Is
we
it
have to
done?
say.
Nobody else has any comments to make on it?
I just don't think I don't think there's any proof
I-
that Tifa was the instigator.
Yeah, we know.
No, I don't know. I don't
We
think
know the
that's
names, a lot of the people that were arrested, but we know little to nothing about them.
So
Each one that I've looked up has been a pro-Trumper.
So what do we have that Trump, if I can steer this into impeachment, because they're talking about impeaching him because of this.
Yeah.
So what are they actually saying that he did to cause this violence?
Well, they haven't actually drawn up articles of impeachment yet. So
The idea is he incited and instigated essentially through his tweets and everything and his whatever he
Sure.
said.
So do we know like an example of what he tweeted that would have been like?
Mike, didn't you have?
Well, at that rally, he said, "All right, everybody, go to the Capitol."
The march
He said-
made strong.
Now he didn't say, break in. He said, "Go there and let them hear our voices." So he did lead the crowd to the Capitol, so to speak, not personally, but just
That was
Hold
the
on.
plan. That was the plan the whole time, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
I
he'd
know.
been saying that for weeks.
I mean,
Of course,
it's not even
but I'm saying
him. He didn't
that's
know.
the stretch. I'm just saying that's the stretch that the Democrats are taking. They're like, "Oh, see, he told them to go," and then you see what happens. So we're able to then say he's the instigator. So it's a stretch, and it's not going to go through.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes through. I think it's very likely he gets impeached a
Well,
second time.
Mitt
would be
Romney will
crazy.
impeach him again. So there's
That
that.
would be crazy.
I think it's very likely to happen. I mean, the House is, they already impeached him once.
They've already impeached him once for nothing. So.
Like half his cabinets are resigning too.
A bunch of people are resigning.
Half the Republicans, Senate Republicans, are like coming after him and basically saying this was like terrible.
What
I
they're
think the
really
same
trying
thing
to
will happen,
push
though.
more-
I think he won't get removed from office. The Senate won't do anything about it. The House will just impeach him again.
He's got like 2 weeks in office.
Yeah, how are they
That's why
even going
they're
to
trying to
start
push
that
the
process
25th
before?
They're saying they can do it right away.
They can't.
What a waste
Well,
of time and
controls
tax dollars
And
Yeah,
money.
it does seem like a
to
waste.
impeach the
so
president.
ridiculous.
to do
Mike-
2 weeks before he's out of
Mike, is it worth it? Should he be impeached a second time?
I'm for Pence, Trump, Pence,
So I
2021.
am not sure it's worth the fallout from his fans, but honestly, I think he deserves it.
You think he should be impeached?
Yeah,
How come?
I do.
And that's my question, Mike. What's the tweet he said, or like what did he actually say?
I'm not gonna go through tweet by tweet, but he's got a huge history of riling up his base, and provoking and divisive content. I think, and I think that gets people really fired up, and those people that are really fired up, they're also kind of extremists anyways, and go and do dumb stuff like the QAnon people, like the Viking hat guy, which is going to be my costume
From
probably.
Simpsons.
So what did that dude actually do anything other than look scary?
Got in there.
Yeah.
I
I just saw
think that's
pictures.
all he did was
Yeah.
just broke in.
He was let in.
Well, he
He
was
looked-
there, and then they went into the chamber, and we're standing, and
He looked awesome, which is a crime nowadays.
that is true.
But yeah, with the impeachment, I don't think it'll go very. They could impeach him, but it won't do much. What they're really trying to do is evoke the 25th Amendment, because apparently, if you are taken out of office because of the 25th Amendment, then you can't run for president again. So that's what they're really pushing.
And that's what I don't like. I don't like this. I understand. Even I don't agree with impeachment, but I can understand if they're like, okay, we're going to impeach this guy, but to bar somebody from office, I think is extremely undemocratic. They have to be like Hitler, pretty much. They have to have such an extreme ideology
Well, I mean,
like having your supporters
I
storm
don't
the
know.
Capitol of the United States of
marching on
America.
the Capitol and causing Congress. to
So,
have to-
so if Donald
Hey,
Trump
I've been
had said,
quiet.
"Let's storm the Capitol and break in there," that would be one
Yeah.
thing. But
I've been very quiet this whole time, and I'll tell you what. When this whole thing was going down, I sent pictures to you guys of what I was doing. You can hear me, okay, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool. I was seriously watching live feeds, about 4 or 5 of them on YouTube, and I was all over the place because I was very interested in what was going on there. I also had a friend who was there that I was texting, that I was asking all kinds of questions. And agree with me or not, here's what I think happened, because I actually had people on the ground too. You cannot tell me that it's that easy to just break into the Capitol building, please. Especially when session is going on. There's got to be something set up that they lightened up on security or something. And all I can tell you is that the result of this breaking and sieging the Capitol, which was like very, very few amount of people compared to how many people actually showed up, is working in the Democrats' favor way more than anybody else at this point.
I'd agree.
So if this is a setup situation, which I'm saying it is, because there's very few amount of people that actually did what everyone's being accused of, that all Trump supporters are all of a sudden these people that sieged the Capitol, like, come on. And if our Capitol is actually that weak, that people can just walk up and demand to get in or push their way in with such a little amount of whatever. I mean, I
Steal
was
the
watching
Constitution.
I was watching the BLM protest here in Salt Lake City. There's about 20 or 30 times more security at Salt Lake City Capitol building than I saw at the Capitol building of the United States of America while session was in.
think about it. Think about it this way: Russia or China, what they saw is all they've got to do is get 200 guys in, and they can actually take over our whole government.
Russia.
They can sit
They can
in
just
Nancy
storm
Pelosi's
right
office.
in, take over Congress, hold
Well,
the
good.
entire country hostage.
So one thing that I don't know about, this is just a thought. I don't know how this actually works, but the Capitol building is, most of it, a public building.
Right.
People are allowed to go in anytime they want to go into certain rooms, certain
Right.
areas, right?
hmm
So is this maybe just a case of, because it's a public building that people are allowed to go in, there's not that much security there trying to stop people from getting out because people are allowed, or stopping people from coming in
I would
because
think
people are
that
allowed?
if there wasn't so much like forewarning that this was going to happen, I would think that if they're like weeks now, this has been talked about. Like,
Yeah, and apparently Trump for his whole presidency has been this crazy guy that riles up his base. Why wouldn't they have like this huge force in place, right, Mike? Like,
Why would
it's
they-
so weird? Like,
So-
I think that they just need to parachute 1,000 Chinese people in here, and they basically take America.
I mean, real,
Yeah.
Is it not possible that they just, like, whoever was in charge of the Capitol Police or whatever it's called there just didn't think anything was going to happen?
He
They
quit.
thought there'll be a rally or whatever, but they're not going to storm the Capitol. They just didn't think
Well,
anything
then-
would happen.
I think he
Here's what I
quit.
would argue.
He resigned.
If your intelligence,
he got fired.
your intelligence
Did he?
is saying that these people are not going to do crazy things, then that intelligence is probably true.
I think he
Right?
resigned.
We're not talking like the third grade, security around the playground. We're talking this United States of America state Capitol building. If they have intelligence that nothing's going to happen, it's probably correct data, or it's set up
Well,
and
or they're just not like, they're not like magicians. They're not fortune tellers. They don't know the future. Even if they have really good intelligence, maybe this thing legitimately was just like a thing that happened. People got riled up, and it just happened. Like there was no plan. It just happened.
yeah, let's roll that idea out. Then that they had no idea there was hundreds of thousands of people there the night before. They did. They put up barricades.
But there's been tons of times there's been hundreds of thousands of people outside the Capitol building, the White House. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
these kinds of things happen in Washington, D.C. all the time.
I wouldn't say all the time.
No, they do. I mean, big rallies and political
What was the
marches, and
What was the last one that had hundreds of thousands of people?
I don't know when the last one is, but I'm telling you, these things happen all the
I'm
time.
telling you, it happens all the time. Name one.
Well, they had that big women's march.
Yeah, there's the
after
women's
Trump.
march. There's the March for
Hundreds of thousands
Science.
of
There's
people.
been BLM marches.
They-
I've been to
MAGA
one of
march.
them.
They do. They
the
do have.
Million MAGA march that Trump had. That was pretty
nothing.
big.
They do have a lot of marches, but the point here is how many people were actually like breaking things and breaking and entering.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to overcome the police force that should have been in place for this event, is what Jeff's saying, I think.
Well, and again, I'm not saying, of course, I'm not saying they made the right call, but like, why does this have to have been a conspiracy and not just a mistake on the part of
Not a
the
conspiracy.
Capitol Police?
So
Here's my question: is why all those marches that happen all the time are never organized by an orange man that riles up his base and tells them to start
Million MAGA March, right? There was the Million MAGA March not that long ago. That had as many, if not more, people.
Okay, well then with that too, I would say if that's the case, then that's typically how it would go, right?
It didn't
What's
go.
different about
It didn't go the
This
same way at
particular-
all.
Yeah, it didn't go
particular
this
one
way.
is a little different due to the actual end goal of stopping the certification of the Electoral College. Like that's what they wanted to do, right?
So if they wanted to do that, don't you think that
No.
I don't
that
think
500 Trump supporters would have shown up with AR-15s and actually stopped the count? Like if that's what they really wanted
That's what I'm
to
saying.
do.
This doesn't seem like a truly like organized coup, like some
Right.
people are trying to say. This seems like a mob mentality thing that got out of hand. That's what it seems like to me.
And my point is, and I don't know everything for reals, but
You're damn
my
right.
my point is that from my own observation,
don't.
watching this stuff, and my own viewpoints, is that somebody screwed up big time and screwed up on keeping like the security in place, and it sure seems to be working out really, really, really well for the Democrats at this point, because basically Trump is Hitler, and they're going to impeach him or invoke the 25th Amendment, which they've always wanted to do for the entire presidency that he's been there.
So
Well, I mean, but what other party would benefit from this?
yeah,
It's such a polarized parties between Republican and Democrat. What other
Right.
third party is going to come in and antagonize and plant these Antifa people to do it? There's no. I mean,
and furthermore, you're saying the Democratic Party is benefiting so much from this, and I agree. Like optically, this looks terrible for the president. This looks terrible
Right.
for the Republican Party, and this is playing very well for the Democrats. But in reality, like what's going to actually happen different than what would have happened if this didn't happen? Probably
Well,
not.
Everyone's going to dress up for Halloween in that Viking
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
the
big
difference.
problem.
Is now we have this
That's a
Viking
problem.
character that we get to celebrate. That's like the only thing that's actually different as far as benefiting the Democratic
Well,
Party. They still
I
won
will
the
tell you-
Senate.
I'll
They
tell
still
you,
keep
I'll-
the House. They still won
Tell
the
you,
presidency.
They're going to try and invoke the 25th Amendment so he can never run again.
Yeah, but I think that will likely not happen because you have to have. I can't remember the rules. Mike,
Pence
did you
has
look
to,
it up?
Pence has to
Pence-
agree.
yeah,
Pence,
Pence
Pence has
Pence
to,
and
and you
everyone
have
in
to
the
have like a
cabinet.
majority of the House and the Senate as well.
Okay,
right?
so
No,
what-
it's,
then
it's,
my-
it's just Trump's
The
cabinet and
oh, that's
Pence.
right. It's
So-
Trump's cabinet.
what is completely
Sort of.
wrong with barring Donald Trump from becoming president again? Why is that so bad? Can we all agree that him as a next president in any type of form or fashion would just be terrible?
The problem with it is
Well, three
one,
of us don't
not a
agree with that.
justification
Yep.
for it,
Don't agree
and
with that.
two, half the country supports him.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's not going to be Trump, it's going to be another Republican Party coming into play, which could theoretically be better than Trump. So I'm just saying, barring Donald Trump from ever running again, what's wrong with that?
So what's wrong with it is it's undemocratic. It's saying that all these people want this guy, but we're going to rig the system so that can't happen. Now, I
Because-
agree in a certain scenario, it probably should happen. If he's really a guy that's like a terrorist or something, for example, like if Al-Qaeda got somebody over here who was like getting enough votes to run for the Senate, I would look into barring that guy. But all the Trump stuff, I think, is hyperbolic. I think a lot of this stuff, he's not great, but he's not. It's not worthy.
He's not
of
Orange
barring
Hitler.
him. He's not Orange Hitler.
I do
Right.
have a very important question. What color mustache would Donald Trump have? Like, if he's going to be Hitler,
Orange.
we need to know this.
Neon yellow.
I don't even
like
think
his
he
hair.
would
Spray-
get a mustache.
spray
I think it's just
tan all
sprayed
over
on.
Spray tan, yeah.
I think he just
Just
takes an
spray it
orange marker and just like,
Yeah.
It's like crusted spray paint in his mustache.
He
From
can't
the
grow
spray tan.
facial hair because he's not a real
Yeah,
man.
if he can't grow facial hair, he'll never be the next Hitler. Let's just
He
all
would just
agree to
comb
that.
his hair from the top of his head down over
All
his
the way
mouth.
to his lips.
that's
Yeah.
funny. 100 years from now, they're gonna be like, "You're the next Trump," as opposed to
So,
next Hitler.
so
Maybe.
The, so the 25th Amendment. This is how it works.
Tell us, Mike.
the vice president, well, there's a couple other things to it. Like if the vice president is disabled, then we do this. But the vice president and the majority of the cabinet, or another body that Congress has set forth, but it's the cabinet right now, they say, hey, he's not fit. And then the president can then say, yeah, I am. And then Congress has to vote on it, which one they agree with.
And what is it? Just a majority, or like is it like a 2/3 majority?
It's 2/3 majority in each House and Senate.
But that's only if the president is like, "Yep, I'm not fit," then it just ends there.
No. So
The vice president.
I am so fit. I am
No,
so
I'm
bigly
saying if the
fit.
vice president says he's not fit,
Vice.
but the president says yes, I am, then we have to have the 2/3 vote.
then we have to.
But I'm saying if the vice president
time
says
limits.
you're not fit, and the president's like, "Yep, I'm not fit," then does it
Exactly.
just end right there?
You're right.
Yeah.
We don't have to have the vote.
You're right.
2/3.
Okay.
And that
Just says you're right.
Well,
I'm unfit.
that makes sense. If
One
the
punches
cabinet
the other
and
and it's
Pence
over.
and the president all say he's not
I'm
fit,
unfit, and then it's just over.
yeah.
It's done.
Can we have Jake in Trump's voice for just a minute argue that he is fit?
Go ahead, Jake.
Like,
Do it, Jake.
I am probably the most fit for president ever since George Washington. I am the most bigly fit person for this office.
That's what people have been saying.
People have been saying.
I
A lot of
seriously
people.
just
A lot of
wanna-
people have been
lot of
saying.
people-
that just incites anger.
People have been saying that I'm pretty much
Now you
the
wanna go
most
break
tremendously
windows?
fit.
I want to go punch Jake in the face.
Yeah. We should do it live on our podcast.
That's a great Trump impression, but it makes me want to punch you in the face.
Thanks. That means it's really good.
You guys, tell me this. Hasn't Trump been entertaining?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
of course.
know.
Who would argue that he
I-
has not been entertaining?
Right.
I'm wondering what is the mainstream media going to do with someone that they like in office?
Yeah, I don't know.
What are people
don't
like
know.
Beagle gonna do?
I honestly I wonder if like the mainstream media is actually shitting their pants right now. Like, how are we going to continue making money? Like with Joe Biden and just a boring regular president again, and nobody cares about the news anyways. Are they like seriously concerned that they're going to not
well, they-
have
They
I
probably don't like the
streams?
fact that didn't he get permanently banned from Twitter?
He is now
Yeah.
permanently banned from Twitter and he's banned from Facebook for 2 weeks.
What is CNN going to do? Nothing?
I have something to
Yeah.
say about this.
where
Does anyone know-
will news come from now?
Yeah,
Phil,
who
here's
knows?
just Jeff's turn.
This is Jeff's financial corner now. What is another social media platform that Trump's going to join? Because we should probably buy their stock
Parler.
right now.
He can't join
Parler?
Parler. Parler's been removed as of today from the Google Play Store
he can
because
still
of their
join.
lack of moderation.
It's
No
a web.
way.
What?
Parler? Parler's not that bad.
What is
I'm
Parler?
Parler's
It's the new right wing.
it's like the free
social
speech
media.
alternative to Facebook, apparently.
Yeah,
Lack of moderation. Isn't that a ridiculous thing?
I mean it's
Yeah.
literally just a feed.
TikTok,
that
right?
people can
like
post to.
in America,
Yeah.
we're in America. Can't we create a social media platform that has no moderation? Aren't we a free people? Can't we do that?
According to CNN, right-wing
People
social
are allowed
media.
to censor, I guess, if they want to, if it's their own.
This is on
platform.
CNN. Right-wing social media app Parler has been removed from the Google Play Store. It
Yep,
goes
I've
on
heard
to
about
say that it's because of a lack of moderation on their part.
So Google is removing it.
Google is saying
Apple's
Parler
not, though.
does not moderate their posts, people's posts, so we're going to remove them from the Play Store.
Parler doesn't censor people enough in the way that we want them to.
In the way
Yeah.
right wing
Exactly.
doesn't want.
They're not part of
Or
the
want them to.
CNN.
In the way left wing.
In the
wants
way-
them to.
Left wing.
Yeah.
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 That's so sad.
But
But
you guys-
anyway,
So I wanted to bring up a
anyone-
topic kind of relating to the Capitol,
Yeah.
mobbing and everything like that.
Do it.
Being as the only person of color that you guys have ever known in your life,
I'm a person of
Almost
color.
true.
It's just-
What
I
color-
knew one other
color
one.
are you?
what kind of
We knew Ryan in high school.
Well,
There-
I'm
really, really
there we go with
Yeah.
last names again. Another edit for Phil.
That's all right. He's
We knew Ryan,
He's no
the
longer with
only
us.
black kid in high school.
You can
What-
still get Parler
what
on the
part-
App Store. By the
what
way.
part of any racial shade or anything like that do you feel has happened with the storming of the Capitol?
Wait, ask that question again.
I was
I'm
trying
not
to
sure I
rephrase it in a
followed.
way. Yeah. So
do a better job in a more interesting way.
this is my first podcast, guys. Give me a minute.
Hey, give
here.
him-
No,
some time to-
do it right now.
Okay, I guess the basic question is like, do you think race played any type of card in the storming, in the mobbing, in the protesting? In
Are
the creating
you
of-
are you getting at like if this was a BLM movement, the cops would have been more well organized and ready to
100%.
stop them? Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, that's what I hear
100%.
people saying.
If I was, what I'm getting at is if this was black people of color doing exactly what these people did, it wouldn't have gone so far. There would have been shots, there would have been rubber bullets, there would have been tear gas, there would have been more.
There was
deaths.
tear gas.
Yeah,
already.
But the National Guard would have called in weeks before. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting.
So was there actually tear gas?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
There was. I saw it live. I want to say that I don't think it had anything to do with the racial thing, but I think it had a lot to do with political stuff. I think they let them in not because of the race or the ill plan, because they're like, oh, the white people won't be as. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think I
disagree. But
I understand, but I think that they had a political motivation to allow them to be in there.
Yeah, political. I get that, but I'm just saying, political wise or not, if those were people of color who have done the exact same thing that these people have, it would be a different story we'd be talking about right now.
So
I agree.
Discrepancy between the riots earlier this year and this one, that is absolutely true.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I'm saying. So
let me continue. So then, so what does that say about the argument here? You know, we talk about like the political behindness and everything like that. Like, how would race not be a factor into how this whole thing unfolded?
So it's interesting because let's say something similar to this happened earlier in the year and the Black Lives Matter thing didn't happen. So let's say there was a whole bunch of white people that stormed the Capitol in the summer and the police cracked down on it, you know, but they were hard when they cracked down. They beat a bunch of people up and a bunch of people died or whatever. And then fast forward to now, the same thing, but it's Black Lives Matter, and they're moving in and they're protesting because Trump told Congress to throw a big fit or whatever. And they're like, oh, we don't want them to even waste our time. We want you to go in and protest. And Black Lives Matter does the same thing that they do now. I would put forth that I think you would see the same decrease in police activity now, even if the races were reversed, because the one happened before. You
think they would let them in? They would have been able to get in just as easily.
There's already this like big stigma against cops. I think that's a very likely thing, that the cops were so easy on them because that's what's happened before. At least speaking to my dad, who was a police officer and now works in private security, that's always been a thing. It's always like cops lighten up a little, crime gets worse. Everyone freaks out, says the cops should do more. The cops do more, then something happens. People freak out, the cops are too. And it's like this cycle that goes back and forth. And so I think we're happening to see this cycle. All I can tell you is when I saw people walking in there, I was pissed. I was like, the cops should be beating these guys up. So it doesn't matter if they were white or black or whatever. The cops should be doing their job. They should have done their job in the summer. They should do their job now. So that's my 2 cents on.
Well, that goes back to it is a public building, so they could have walked in anyway. But if they're armed and going against, through security illegally, then yeah, they should stop them.
Well, it is a public building, but when the BML protests happened, they had National Guard out there not allowing people into the building. So where was the same reaction? Where was the same setup? Knowing well enough that people are going to be protesting at the Capitol on the electoral voting day.
So you remember back in the occupation or whatever in Portland, was it, or Seattle, when they were
talking about Occupy?
Chaz.
What was that one called? Huh?
Chaz.
It was not Occupy Chaz. Wall Street. It was the new one,
like where they created their own little country on like a city block or whatever.
I'll say it one more time. Chaz.
Weren't they like trying to? Weren't they breaking into
like a very high school jock name, by the way?
Weren't they breaking into a federal building? And Trump was like, "They can't break into a federal building. I'm sending out federal marshals." And everyone was like, "Oh, Trump, you're making the situation worse. Send those marshals home." Blah blah blah. So now it's like, okay, when people protest,
I'm not.
We don't. With this. Oh, it was a big deal. They were like freaking out. The governor of Washington, Oregon.
It's in Portland.
The governor of Portland was like, Trump, take your federal police out. They're making it worse, right? So that's the kind of reaction he got before when sending the police to protect a federal building. So now we've had the same kind of thing happen again. So it does make some sense that they're like, oh, okay, everyone got mad when we tried to stop these
So
things. Last time.
here's my counter to that, Phil, is that during all of the protests, even in the summer, when there were armed protests at state capitals that weren't BLM, they were left alone.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of famous photos at the Milwaukee one where like Trump supporters with AR-15s were walking into the Capitol protesting. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, there was a few states of the anti-COVID ones.
So, and I remember this too, but all I remember is that they were armed. I don't remember them actually like breaking into anything.
I don't know if they went inside, but BLM did. Either.
But the point being is, if a black person armed in the way that these people have been armed, it would be a completely different outcome. There'd be more deaths. That's the point that I'm trying to make across here.
I think that that's possible, Tyler. I do.
And I think that just kind of bars into this whole concept of white privilege that is the case. I mean, to me, the white privilege thing is a real concept, and the reactions between the Capitol building in itself, between the BML protests and this particular protest proves it.
So
100%.
if they're the same type of protests, and like it's hard to draw, it's hard to compare the two, because if you have these armed guys that aren't breaking things, that are just standing there in protest, but on the other you have these people who might largely be doing that, but you have people among them, like in this instance, who are actually breaking things and breaking into things. They're two different things.
Nicolas
So,
Cage. Being
so
Nicolas
in this
Cage got
scenario,
Somebody better check his.
it's him holding the Constitution. See?
Somebody better check his apartment or something.
wait, is that what we've been looking at this whole time?
this whole
literally
time.
is Nicolas Cage.
You can't really see it on screen.
It's on Hangouts.
He's got the Constitution
Hangouts I
from
posted
that
it.
movie, right?
Yeah, national treasure.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is it shouldn't be the case. Like when people were walking in there, they shouldn't have been allowed to walk in there. So it doesn't matter what color they were. They should have got the living.
It doesn't matter, but it does matter. Currently speaking,
It shouldn't matter, but it does matter. Is
It
that what you
shouldn't
mean?
matter, but it does matter. Because we're all like, we can all agree to the fact, right? I mean, it seems like this consensus is there. If these were people of color do the exact same thing, there'd be a way different outcome than what happened.
Maybe.
I think it's likely. That's a hard one for me to respond to, because it's like how would it have been if it was different than how it was.
Yeah, we had this discussion a few
know,
weeks
but-
ago about what institutional racism is. That I don't think that as a large systemic racism, as a whole, I don't think that it's a large population of police officers who are racist.
At least not in the
Well, I mean,
extreme ways
that's
that
what
matter.
systematic racism is. You are racist under the impression. That's what it is. You're not racist because you grew up in a way where you're told you're not racist, but you live in a privileged community, privileged life that you don't see it. That's systematic racism.
See, I actually disagree. I think let's assume Biden had won and all this exact same thing happened, but it was Black Lives Matter. I think
he means Trump, right, Phil?
Oh, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Trump won, and Black Lives Matter shows up and does this exact same thing. I think the exact same response would have happened. The only difference is Fox News would have been saying, "Oh, these people are terrible. They're breaking in, blah blah blah," and CNN would have been saying, "Oh, it's fine. There were just a couple radicals." And
I mean, we're
just a
basing this off
protest.
of like what would have happened, but let's look at what did happen. We look at the BML protests on the Capitol months ago in the summer. You look at how the Capitol have armed themselves, how the Capitol took that threat, quote unquote, seriously, didn't allow people in on that day, had National Guard called in, rubber bullets were used, tear gas was used, violence was used from police on BML protesting. You come BLM. What am I saying?
Come on, you keep saying
You're
BML.
BNL.
BML.
Anyways, and then you look at what happened this past week. Same amount of response, like not even the same amount of response or anything like that. So yeah, you would say continue with the thought of like, okay, if it was black people who did this, it's proven in the fact that like it's already happened. The responses of the differences between the two have already happened, and we can take a look at it.
So look at it this way. Remember the Bundy thing a couple of years back where those guys like tried to hold up the
more than a
real
couple years,
BLM,
but yeah.
Bureau of Land Management, by the way. Don't, Jake.
It's not you we're thumbing down. It's just the topic is gone stale.
That
Dead
whole
horse.
family was white, right?
Yeah.
And they got gunned down by the police. Like,
I feel like that's a
Nobody
different
did
thing
not.
because they got
were
gunned down, but they
green
no, they didn't. Two of them got shot and killed
in the
in the Bundy standoff.
Did they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they may have, but I don't think
and
that's a
it
great
turns out their
example.
weapons weren't even loaded.
But
I don't think it's a
obviously
great
cops don't
example
know
because
that.
they showed up with guns and there was a very long standoff. It's not like this happened quickly. It's just not
Right.
it's not a very comparable scenario.
But
I don't
Waco
think.
is another perfect example of a terrible. Like the government is terrible, has been terrible
Certainly has
historically.
been, yeah.
I'm not at all suggesting that people of color or minorities haven't experienced the full brunt of that. I'm just saying that it's not always necessarily racially charged.
Sure, I don't think
True.
Tyler's saying
Yeah.
every bad thing that's ever happened has always been racially charged.
No.
He's just saying that if this case would have been reversed and it would have been BLM breaking in, he thinks it would have been worse.
And I disagree.
response would have
I
been worse.
disagree. If it was the same scenario and there's already something that had happened on the other side earlier in the summer,
But
I
it-
think that's why we're seeing the change in reaction.
So you're saying, okay.
I have a question. So let's go off the idea because I can't disagree with you, Tyler, that this is racially geared, right? Who is being racist by making the call to lessen the security at the Capitol? Like, I actually don't know whose shoulders did that fall on to protect the Capitol building.
Well, the head of the Capitol Police.
Who was fired or quit, resigned, whatever.
He resigned due to increased pressure because of the lack of responsible
Is he white?
coverage.
Is he white? Is he black?
I don't know, Jeff.
Brown?
That's racist.
His name is Steven, so probably white.
Stephen Lopez?
Steven Sund,
Stephen Littlefoot?
police chief. Police
Stephen
chief.
the Big-
Good one, Tyler.
Oh my goodness!
Like,
So,
like
Police
He's
Chief
white.
Stevens, and then we've got the Sergeant at Arms Michael.
But how
Sten-
white does he look?
Very white.
Do these guys even look like real protesters?
Sergeant
These guys
Arm-
are paid to be there, right?
I mean, how white of all the
Those
white,
are the ones.
How
that
white does he
were
look?
Being
Of all the
not
white people
pushed
here,
back by the cop is
He's
the
very
is
white
he,
looking.
is he
Yeah.
Jake White? Is he Phil White?
He's Phil White. Yeah.
Is he Mike Ted Cruz White?
is he all the way to Jeff Spectrum powder white?
Oh, he's
Powder.
white.
Not powder. It's like as clear as glass.
I mean,
Devin, are you
so
looking at
the point I bring up is
Well,
not,
Mike?
Are you looking at pictures?
Yeah, I looked at the picture.
yeah,
He's
just
white. He's
just to
very
rounding out the conversation here and kind of ending the subject. My point is bringing to you guys a certain kind of perspective when it comes to these conversations from a person of color point of view, because I feel like in all the conversations we've had, you guys never even experience it.
Well, as a white man, let me just explain to you how it actually is. Tyler. I'm just kidding.
I didn't think we
Why haven't you
properly
learned?
introduced our expert guest today.
Tyler.
Go
Tyler
ahead.
is our expert guest in all things not white
Yes.
And all things
he-
gay.
and all things not straight. So
Yeah.
we got
from birth.
And,
Better fucking listen to me.
and one other unique thing about him is he speaks sign language very well.
Yes, that's
when I'm
true.
drunk. Only when I'm drunk.
So he also represents the
he slurs when he's
community of
sign language signing in.
hearing sign language speakers.
Anyways, that's
So
that's
he
all I
gets
want
us
to
all
bring
the
up.
points.
Yeah.
We get all the
We
points.
we got a lot of
We're
You're
so
not
that's a lot of-
racist. He's here.
We're not right. I like
this
it.
is
That's fair.
the most diverse episode we've had.
Yep.
Oh, my brown friend. He makes everything better.
Okay, so I
Anyways.
feel like we've beaten a dead horse with this for the most part. Should we move on from this
Agreed.
topic?
Yeah.
We will see you next week.
No, I want to hit just a couple more things if that's all right.
Mike, do you have
we-
anything to say to close on that? Wasn't that your thing?
Sure, yeah, Mike, closing statements.
Final thoughts by Mike.
That's my thing.
That's
Oh, I thought it was.
That's what Phil just said, so we're going with
All
it.
right.
So I think that Tyler has a perspective we don't have and can't have. And I think that history has shown that even just this year that there's been a disparity in the treatment of the color of protesters. Just this year.
Amen and a women.
And they.
Thank you.
Amen.
So
That was great.
Good
right?
job, fam. My general
Yeah.
neutral way of responding
Hey,
to
women.
everybody.
that was good. I'll just add that I care so much.
You guys know what that
Thanks.
was from, right?
Well,
There was
Senate.
a senator prayed like this
Somebody
week, a couple weeks ago, and he said that at the end. Amen, and a women. And
seriously,
Ben Shapiro jumped on it. It's like he doesn't even know what amen means, obviously.
this must have been a Democratic senator.
Yeah, he thinks it's men.
It was like the most comical routine I have ever seen in the floor of Congress.
Yeah.
That's
Next to
weird.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so keeping it semi on the same subject, but just for a brief moment, I want to go to Trump being completely censored from Twitter and
Wizard.
maybe completely censored from Facebook, but at least for 2 weeks.
He was removed on just for 2 weeks. On
2 weeks.
Facebook.
They're saying until he's removed as president,
He's-
not removed as president, until Biden's president, he's removed. And they said maybe indefinitely.
You're grounded.
Yeah.
Go to your room,
He's
Donald.
grounded. So I don't want to keep this on the topic of Donald Trump necessarily, but on the topic of big tech censorship. Phil.
So big tech censorship sucks, and everybody should quit using Facebook and Twitter and Instagram immediately, and just listen to this podcast for all your news.
We had to go right to Phil on this one.
Yeah.
We had to get the most ridiculous answer out of the way first.
China is controlling your thoughts through Facebook. You freaking idiots.
So here's what I want to know. Here's really
I agree.
the crux of what I want to get at with this, because I agree with most people, I think, here that I don't like it. I think the only place that I disagree is I feel like most of you are saying they should not be allowed. So these private companies like Twitter, well, or publicly owned, some of them, but should not be allowed to censor people. The government should actually prevent them. And that's where I kind of start to say, well, these are companies. They can make their own choices, right? If they
Agreed.
want to censor people, they can censor people. I don't like it, and I think it's okay to speak out against it, but I'm not so sure that we should actually have the government stepping in.
Yeah, it's a hard it's a hard thing, because it's like, is this person suppressing free speech through their
You mean
through
this
their
organization?
platform, or this person, because an organization is a person.
Well, then
So-
you got to go a step back and say, is Facebook included in your right to free speech? Is that part of your right?
Well, like a person that makes megaphones, if they choose not to sell them to like people who follow Rand Paul's mentality. Like,
Or what if they just choose to not sell them to the people who are about to throw like a Nazi rally?
so
Are they allowed to not sell them to those
So
people?
I don't think they are, right? Because the civil rights laws require that just like you can't refuse a service to a person because they're one color or minority, you can't refuse service because they are one political ideology either,
I
or
don't
one
think-
religious.
Class.
Huh?
Religion, yes, but I don't think political ideology
It
is
is.
a protected class.
It is. Look it up. I'll do it for you right now.
It would make sense. I don't know, but it would make sense that it would be. You can't just turn someone away from your restaurant because they're a Republican and you only take Democrats, right? I would imagine that is the case.
Yeah, I don't
Political affiliation is just as much a part of it as anything
Race or
else.
gender.
Race or gender.
But okay, so maybe my example was a bad example though, because Facebook is not saying you're banned because you're a Republican or you're banned because you're a Democrat. They're saying you've broken our rules.
Yeah, our policies and procedures have been breached because of.
Yeah.
But if
something
they're
you
making
posted
their
or whatever.
rules, kind of going back to like Mike's thing with like, oh, they're not explicitly targeting African Americans when they make these cocaine laws, but they're making them in a way that disproportionately affect one group or another. So if Twitter or Facebook is making their rules and those rules disproportionately affect one political ideology over another, that's a problem, I think. Now, are they making a rule that if you say the word shit, you're banned from our group? That's, that's fair game. That's what they can do. And if they're saying if you incite violence, we're going to ban you, then that's also
So was it okay to
Okay.
ban Trump?
so. I don't know, because I don't know their justification
He incited
for it.
violence.
Well, that's
For
what that's what they're saying, but I don't know what they're saying. He incited violence with, like, what did he actually say? If he said, "Let's go to the Capitol and stop them,"
Well,
I
whenever
know.
he said at his rally, and then there was a couple tweets that we can no longer see because he's banned or whatever. But there's a couple tweets he sent out afterwards. That's what they're banning him for.
Why was
the tweets-
Trump
What are you laughing at,
banned
Jake?
Jeff.
from
I just put it
Twitter?
on Hangouts.
Why was
It's
Trump banned from Twitter?
Go to the Hangouts
Oh, but-
thing I posted
yeah.
first.
You should
John
probably look
Bear.
at the. What is that?
After close review of recent tweets from the @Real Donald Trump account and the context around them, specifically how they are being. So wait, wasn't there a POTUS account? Isn't that?
There is, and that's not been banned.
Oh, so
never-
it's just his personal account.
Right.
Oh, okay. So the presidential
They're banning
account.
the person, not the
Office.
actual office of the White House.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
It would be
see.
silly, obviously, to ban the office. of
Yeah,
the
I
White
thought that
House.
was silly of them to do that, but
Has he
um,
ever posted on the POTUS?
I-
Maybe someone else
it
did in
posts,
his.
but it's someone
Yeah.
in the communications department or whatever. PR.
Some of his their interns that
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I think it's I
And they don't
think
post every 20 minutes.
Here, go to Hangouts really quick.
Yeah, we should follow this guy right away.
what are
Okay, describe it. Jake.
Is that Donald Trump?
Yeah, this is a.
No,
It's
it's
a-
John Barron.
It's a new user on Twitter.
It's John Barron.
Known as John
1946.
Barron. He says, "Hey, I'm new to Twitter. What are you guys up to?" And it's a picture that looks kind of like a little bit like Donald Trump with a mustache.
darker mustache.
I think that answers our question.
It's
It
our
looks
Hitler
like
Trump.
he has a black mustache.
Yeah,
I don't agree. I
So
don't think it looks like.
nothing like him.
Nothing. What are you guys talking about?
yeah,
Orange
I think
mustache.
it gets dicey because yes, companies should have freedom to decide what goes on their platform, but according to civil rights, they can't ban because of certain things.
Right.
And
And
they
they're not saying that they are.
They're not
You think they're
explicitly.
getting
They're-
around those rules and intentionally trying to ban people just because they're Republicans, but they're using their rules to do that.
I'm
That's what
saying
you think?
I'm saying that if by Mike's definition, making a law or rule that disproportionately affects one group over another counts.
But they're not saying that. They're saying that he was banned because he broke their rules.
Well, I'm talking about in a general sense because I think there have been a ton
Phil's
of
saying in general, Republicans are the ones getting banned.
right from these platforms.
More and more.
And Trump's just kind of the biggest later one, and it's censorship. And I would be interested
Well-
to know if it isn't actually state sponsored censorship because our government reaching out to Twitter and saying, hey, you can't have this on there, we're going to come after you, blah blah blah. If
Why
you-
would our government?
so our left side of the government, senators, congressmen,
Donald Trump.
those type of people
Yeah.
reaching out.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Do you think?
Let me
Need-
say something that also doesn't make any sense.
Will you ban this
so-
guy named Real Donald Trump, please? I don't like what he's saying.
No, well, here's what I think. Like, if you watch sci-fi videos, and I love sci-fi, there's this idea of like corporations taking over, right? And I to interrupt you guys passing vodka back and forth. I hope Crystal heard that.
No, she
No.
doesn't have headphones on.
this is the only way I can deal with you guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Drink
I
it up.
understand. But like, listen, so corporations, what I'm getting at is in sci-fi things, they have these super huge amounts of power. And I'm not saying we're there at this point, but I would say that corporations get to a certain point where they have a certain amount of influence over the country, over the world, whatever, right? And at that point, they become to a stage where I think they need to be open to everything, and they can't be making rules where they ban certain people from doing things. And I feel like that Facebook has gotten to that point, for example, or Twitter. They're so influential in what's going on that banning certain people from them is infringing on rights. And they set up these community guidelines that are not necessarily following the First Amendment because it's a community that they've set up. Even
And they're
though it's
also
a-
really loose and open to a lot of interpretation.
But aren't
I'm
they
not saying
allowed
that.
to?
but
be?
I'm not saying
my
that's wrong.
question is,
I'm
aren't
not
they
saying that's
allowed to
wrong.
But isn't everything?
No, I'm not
Every-
saying it's wrong at all. But when you do have guidelines that are very, very much open to interpretation, it's easier for them to say you broke the guidelines because of this.
So here's the problem. Donald Trump, does anyone disagree that Donald Trump fully believes that the election was stolen from him?
I actually am not sure on that.
I think he believes that it was.
I think he probably does, but I think it's possible that he doesn't.
I agree with that. I think it's possible. but very likely that he really believes that.
I honestly think he believes that. I
Yeah.
think he honestly, in his mind, I mean, proven throughout his whole thing, like he's just a weird guy.
That's all
So
he's
I
talked
honestly
about.
think he believes that.
And in America, like, isn't that the most American thing to do? Is say what you believe, whether it's wrong or not, or verifiably wrong or not. And for a major company to have so much power, like Jeff was saying, that they can actually censor that kind of speech, I think is a problem.
Well, but that's the thing, is they can't censor that kind of speech. They can only prevent it on their own platform, right? They can't stop you from saying it. They're just
So what
stopping you
Jeff
from saying it on Facebook.
That's the thing is, like, does it cut to a point where Twitter or Facebook is so ubiquitous that it becomes essentially the same thing? I think that's an interesting,
that's
an interesting question.
a good point.
But I don't know if that applies at this point. But
I don't think so. I mean, as of right now, sure, we have Facebook, which is crazy huge, right? But we have Twitter, so you got to get banned from both, right? Now we have Parler. You've got to get banned from all three.
can you get banned from Parler?
Probably not.
Well, they will probably have to
impossible.
start banning people in order
Look
to
it up.
So
start new accounts.
on Facebook, can anybody look at Donald Trump's Facebook account to see what he posts? Does it work the same as Twitter? I haven't been on any of these.
No, you can have a private account on Facebook.
Well,
right?
I mean, like, does Trump have like 70 million followers on
I've
Facebook
never
that he
looked
can
up Trump
talk
on
to? Or like,
Facebook.
how
I
does
don't
it
know.
work on Facebook versus, because
Like
you're saying,
how he communicates?
because you're saying he's banned from Twitter, he can just use Facebook. Can he communicate in the same way on Facebook?
Yeah, he can
'Cause-
post.
Oh, okay.
You can post
Statuses.
something on. Yeah.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know. So that makes sense then.
I mean, Twitter seems to be like the platform for political posting or whatever, for whatever reason. But yeah, he could, but he's banned from both now, so he can't post on either one.
So
Is he banned from LinkedIn?
Probably.
Real quick, it looks like the free speech platform Parler does ban people, and
My understanding is they only will kick you off if you're actually being violent, like you're threatening violence to somebody, or like really extreme things.
We should try that out.
Let's see how many
Right
of us
now?
can get banned from Parler.
Yeah.
I'm going to post on Facebook that Jake, I'm going to come in, shave your head or.
see,
well,
I think in a
Sorry.
perfect
Just use the
world,
word scalp you.
in a perfect world, being banned from these kind of things would only happen like under court orders. Like
Okay.
you would actually break the law in what you're saying on them, and that's how you would get banned from them. In a perfect, like, we're actually being in a free and open form of communication.
So to
I
take,
know-
go ahead, Jeff.
I know that when I want to get a hold of Donald Trump, I just DM him on Bumble.
are you sure that wasn't
Wait, which
Grindr?
Bumble? The friend Bumble, the romantic Bumble, or the work Bumble?
Romantic.
Jeff.
Jeff,
Is there another one?
Jeff,
I
say
want
that
you to
deep-
get
say that
Trump
with a
on our
deeper voice.
podcast.
Bumble has 3 modes, by the way.
Say it with a
DM him
deeper
right
voice,
now.
Jeff.
So,
Okay.
do you guys
So-
agree? Before you move on, do you guys agree that Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Twitter, that these companies are too big and should be broken up?
I think
Just-
Amazon for sure.
Just like in the railroad days and the
Yeah.
Just the monopoly on just.
and oil.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because they're not monopolies.
What would
They are
Ron
not actually
Swanson?
monopolies.
What would Ron
Well, either
Swanson say?
were oil or railroads in their day, either, because the technical term of a monopoly is you own everything in that
Sure.
industry. So
But
nobody's ever done
weren't
that.
those companies in the old days like pretty, like there was 2 of them? So yeah, sure, technically they weren't a monopoly, but they were really close. But Amazon, I mean, does legitimately have a lot of competitors.
Well,
They're the hugest, but there are.
but
a
does
lot.
Google?
Is huge just a word?
DuckDuckGo?
It's just Apple.
What's that?
Apple doesn't have a search engine. though.
Apple doesn't have a search engine.
Ask
I guess
Jeeves.
I guess
Uh,
Siri
Bing.
is.
Barely their
Right.
only business.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Google. I mean, Google has Google Maps, Gmail.
But
like-
there's multiple competitors to Google
There are
Maps. There's
competitors,
multiple
but-
competitors to Gmail.
right.
There are multiple competitors to Google, even though I couldn't think of them. There are. There's Bing,
Ask
there's
Jeeves.
DuckDuckGo.
Right,
Ask
but
Jeeves,
it's not that there
whatever
aren't
else.
competitors. It's that somebody has so much clout in the market that they decide what happens, and
And that's
they
what
have
happened
so
to
much,
Microsoft in the early 2000s.
right. And
They
Microsoft
were competitors.
and the way Microsoft got out of it is actually to loan Apple money to prop them up, which actually maybe kind of backfired, or maybe they still do like it because now Microsoft can't really be seen as a antitrust issue because Apple is such a huge competitor now in the market. So but it's the same kind of thing that tended to work out really well. So who is like Facebook propping up to be like
Well, and
a
then
good
so
competitor to
do we
them?
need to break up? Like we really only have 2 platforms for our phones, right? We have Android and we have iOS. So does that have to get broken up? So there's more companies.
We got Windows, we got Google.
We don't have Windows anymore.
What
Google,
about
and Google is Android.
BlackBerry?
It's the same thing.
BlackBerry's
BlackBerry's
dead.
done.
Didn't they have a BlackBerry phone like a year ago?
Really?
So they
Still
just
making
released
But it
sense?
runs
But
Android.
it's-
Oh, it
Yeah,
runs
Android.
Android?
Yeah,
Oh.
they do. Yeah, a lot of
So-
government officials use Blackberries.
And Windows is stopped. My understanding is they're mostly adopting Android now instead
Years
of
ago,
doing
they
their
were
own.
going Android.
Yeah. So really, you really do just only have 2. So does this need to happen in every industry where there's only 1 or 2?
Well, I think in these situations they're too big. Amazon and Walmart have too much power. Apple and Microsoft probably, and Google, especially in companies where it makes so much, like Google makes so much sense. You can easily chop that off into Google Maps, Gmail, the search engine, and even the search engine could probably be broken up. Google Drive, like pretty much everything that they do could be broken off into its own company so that they don't control this entire industry.
It wouldn't be easy. It'd have to be bigger chunks, I think, because everything funds the other. There's a lot of free stuff.
Hey,
Right.
Mike, I never said it would be easy, but I did say it would be worth it.
Would it be? Would it be worth it?
Yeah,
Hashtag
I think
G.
so.
I think we would lose a lot of free services, which maybe we need that.
Hashtag Kanye
Yeah.
West.
So,
true.
because we're in a situation right now where Twitter has so much clout that in a way they can actually pressure a politician just by threatening to take away their Twitter account. Like, because that's a major form of how Donald Trump communicates and how he
Would
runs
that
his
not
politics.
be illegal? Would that not be considered some kind of threatening?
Yeah, but
Well, I mean, is that not a good Beagle impression? Sorry, that's what I.
Sorry, Jeff.
where's Bolter to do that?
Yeah,
one?
Bolter did really good. It's hard to follow up.
We love you, Beagle. We're sad that we humiliated you or whatever we did. To,
Or yeah, we're
Like you
sad that
stop.
you've disappeared.
Sorry, we are so toxic.
yeah.
I don't think we humiliated him, but he thinks we're dumb. I think maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
Intellectually intelligent.
we should move on. We're going to turn the time over to Jeff for a few lighter topics.
McDonald's sells like 1 billion burgers every single year. But the problem is that nobody socially admits to eating McDonald's. So I have a feeling that it's either 1 billion homeless people or there's some secret McDonald's people out there.
Like
Maybe
some
even
guilty
in-
pleasure.
So I'm glad you brought this up because I was talking to Bear about this the other day, and I've actually started eating at McDonald's quite a bit over like the last
Yeah.
year.
A lot.
And I've noticed that McDonald's quality, by and large, outpaces Wendy's, Burger King, Carl's Jr., everyone. Yeah, it
like
used to-
quality of the burger.
quality. It used to be the total opposite. It was like, oh, this is the crappiest place, and they like slapped this together. Now it's like consistency is like
You think
95%
than Wendy's too, though?
better than
I don't
Wendy's.
think-
No
I think
I don't
so.
way.
think-
No way.
I can see it with Carl's Jr. and Burger King.
My theory is this: we go throughout the day, for the majority of America, but when the majority of America gets drunk, they order from McDonald's.
Yeah, I
So
don't
Jeff,
get drunk.
that's
so-
my argument to that.
So
Jeff, I
for
just looked it
years-
up to confirm your number. 2.36 billion burgers every year.
So that just tells me that liars in the social realm have just doubled.
So wait,
And
so
so
we're
from-
like in
thought process.
reality, where are you getting this number of like it's socially unacceptable? Is it just kind of like generally people think,
Nobody
oh, I
does
don't eat
eat.
at McDonald's?
That gets embarrassing. Yeah. It's like-
Really? So-
I think it is. It's embarrassing. Like people don't want to say they like McDonald's
Yeah,
because it's
I think
looked at
they
as trashy.
if they're asked if they're talking about, oh yeah, I love the McRib, but no one's ever like, yeah, I went to McDonald's for lunch.
yeah.
I go to
usually-
McDonald's, but I'm usually drunk when I do it.
Yeah.
Well,
I go to
order from
Beto's
McDonald's,
when I'm-
yeah.
Let me tell you the reason why I thought about this, because as I go throughout the week, I type in messages and topics like from the experiences that I have through the week. I ate at McDonald's. Hello, my name is Jeff. I ate at McDonald's.
Hello, Jeff.
Anyways,
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey
I ate
Jeff,
at McDonald's this week, and
you're so
I had,
brave.
I had a McDonald's bag in my back seat, and my daughter goes, my daughter tells me, she's like, Dad, did you go to McDonald's? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's gross. And I'm like, really?
Walter's back.
Hey. Jeff, I totally get what you're saying though, Jeff, because like I went there the other day and I left the bag in my truck. And when I got back in my truck the next day,
Your daughter saw it.
No,
your daughter was like,
no, I remember feeling like, oh, I wish I'd have thrown that away because my wife might have seen it and been like,
right?
why did you eat at McDonald's? Like,
Can I say that
Yeah.
if you have to hide food like it's porn, like this is a problem. Like, it's not a good
That's
Yeah,
fair.
Jason,
I was going to
There's
say,
another
when you brought this
restaurant-
up earlier, I think that the reason there's so many burgers, but not many people saying it, I think a lot of people are like doing this alone on their lunch break or late at night when no one's paying attention. They're eating it in their car and they're throwing it away.
Well, I mean, I think
Well,
a big part of that too is, in theory, in my mind, I'm thinking it's like the dollar menu. McDonald's introduced the dollar menu, so is that dollar burger included into that account?
I'm sure it's all of them.
So I mean, it's like you
Wait,
get the dollar.
sorry, I don't
burger.
know what you guys are talking about burgers.
no,
Yeah.
just McDonald's.
We thought
Oh,
that
we should ask the resident.
we thought that
burger
as soon
expert.
as you left was the time to jump into burgers.
Well, hold on one sec. I want to clarify one thing that Tyler's bringing up that I think I agree with, because I never go to McDonald's and buy one single hamburger. Thank you very much, Ronald McDonald. I will go eat this in my car now. No, it's 2 or 3 burgers.
Mhm.
And so I just contributed to the 2.7 billion hamburgers a year in threefold one meal. Like, that was really
so it's
easy.
only like 11 people that actually eat all that stuff.
So before Walter gives us his expertise, I'll tell you my McDonald's story.
Okay.
And this is just my personal McDonald's journey. It's not like anything crazy that's happening.
Hi, Mike.
So,
First
I'm
introduce
Mike.
yourself.
My
eat
name
at
is Mike, and I
McDonald's
approve this message.
frequently. I frequently eat McDonald's.
Okay, but time out. Clarify frequently, please.
Like
Every 11 minutes.
a few times, or at least probably like 3 times a week.
See the hesitancy in his voice? I understand, Mike. I will tell you that before New Year's, because I made a resolution not to eat garbage, but before New Year's, it was at least once or twice a week, and I will confidently say that.
Okay. So 5 years ago, my brother told me about the McDonald's app that gives you sweet deals on McDonald's food. And I was trying to spend less on money, or let's spend less on lunches. But I was also starting to drink coffee. And so I would go every morning and get a $1 iced coffee and a $1 sausage McMuffin. And that's what I ate every morning for like 2 years.
You know they use Starbucks. beans.
Oh, was that it?
Mike, you way overset that up. You were taking me on a journey and then
I
just
know.
like drop that off a cliff.
No, but here's the thing.
I thought at the end of that I was going to be back, and then I found out
One
I
day.
had cancer.
And I think the big number plays into that because
And
you
there
go
I
to McDonald's
was.
for other things. Like your kids like chicken McNuggets or whatever. For me, like I go to get the coffee. I go and get like a black iced coffee, and hell, throw in a dollar menu burger on there because it's only $1. Now I'm contributing to this 2.36 billion dollar burger. If I'm really in the mood for burger and fast food, I usually will go out of my way to find a Whopper from Burger King.
I mean,
See,
really,
I
though,
can't stand Burger King now.
2.36
Whopper.
billion burgers. That's not
It's
even
the healthiest burger.
That's
The
not even a
Whopper's so
burger
good.
per
So much
person
lettuce
per
and-
year.
so good.
The yummy
I
healthy.
mean, it's actually pretty small.
It's just like a big mouthful of mayonnaise.
I love the Whopper so much.
I
It is-
don't like Burger King at all.
Between the Whopper, Big Mac,
that's all
and
I
like
get
all the
from-
mainstream burgers, the Whopper is like the healthiest.
See, Burger King,
FYI.
in my experience, and that goes back to the quality
It really
thing,
is.
Burger King is always at like 15%, and like McDonald's is always at like
What's
90.
Burger King's burger count?
Yeah, I love the Whopper, the Texas Whopper, the one with the jalapenos.
I just think the big number you're talking about, Jeff, is a contribution of just like the dollar menu. It's easy. You know, your kids say, I want chicken McNuggets. The,
Easy and so
the
fast.
sad LA guy living in LA goes to get his own black coffee, throw in a burger.
Burger King sells more burgers per year than McDonald's.
Do they?
Yeah, McDonald's was 2.36 billion. Burger King's 2.4.
But McDonald's
I don't know how
owns a
that's
lot
possible.
of Burger King's real estate.
I actually have a lot more to say about McDonald's, but I can tell you guys don't care. So we'll turn it over to Bolter.
Mike,
Mike,
you just
I want to hear.
we
it.
just want to hear
No.
like a more.
I have very little to add about because I don't eat burgers at other places. I get free burgers where I work, and so I eat anything but a cheeseburger wherever I go.
We can
Makes
tell.
sense. Makes
That's
sense.
fair.
Mike, I can relate to you on the McDonald's app though. When I first got the job that I have now, the building, when people used to work in buildings a year ago.
I remember that.
But this is like 2.5 years ago, actually, when
9
I got
months
the
ago,
job. I literally, one of the very first, we had a McDonald's right next to where we worked. And one of the very first things my coworker said to me was, do you have the McDonald's app? And
Yep.
I was like, in my mind, to relate to what you said, Jeff, I was like, trashy. McDonald's app, like, why are these
Does it have a
guys,
tramp
like-
stamp on the back of it?
And they were like excited because they're like, if you get the McDonald's app, your first visit into the McDonald's, you get like a free hot and spicy McChicken or something like that. And it was true. You get a lot of free stuff. From that
Chick-fil-A
McDonald's
app. Shout
I
out
will
to the
get one
Chick-fil-A app.
free.
You can't
Quarter
eat at
pounder
Chick-fil-A.
cookies. I get them all the time.
Who can?
Anti-gay.
Yeah.
No,
Can you-
not.
Evan, can you
Anti-gay.
Chick-fil-A.
please introduce yourself to this?
Tyler, Chick-fil-A is heaven on earth.
I
Don't
know.
even say that.
I don't know
But
why
I-
people love Chick-fil-A like they do. I think it's plain and boring.
They
Because it
have-
has
they
the
have
best spicy chicken sandwich
And-
I
ever.
don't, and then they put pickles on it.
If you
What
want.
the hell?
You
If
just
you
take them
want.
off and they're
Ugh.
and mix their buffalo
Which
and
is
ranch.
so weird.
It's the best.
I personally think Popeyes chicken sandwich is
Popeyes
better.
is really
That's
good.
because of
Agreed.
your bias, Tyler. Because you
That's
think
true.
that they're anti.
No, I love Chick-fil-A, and I don't
Is
personally.
Chick-fil-A anti-gay?
Yeah,
Tyler's
They
right.
are?
yeah.
No.
They're big. Well,
I know they're very Christian, but I didn't know they were like actively.
Well, no, they're
They
not like
actively
actively.
contribute
No,
money
no
to, like-
corporation out there is like actively anti.
They're like, are you gay?
But
We
they
hate
contribute
you. Come
to
get a chicken.
anti-gay campaigns.
Oh.
So, anyways, I'm just saying, I'm a fan of Chick-fil-A. I'm just saying, I would never buy it, but I'm just saying, if you bought it and shared it with me, I wouldn't say no.
Like their fries, their waffle fries, and their
Just saying.
Chick-fil-A
You are
sauce.
literally
hungry
in a
right now.
small way contributing to your own demise.
I'm just saying I'm a little
I'm just
hungry
saying,
right now.
you want to spend money on
And if you-
Chick-fil-A, it's going there. I might as well reach for the
I
benefit.
get that because
Frosted
I'm like
lemonade, okay.
I get that because I'm like I don't want stimulus money being paid out at my grandchildren's expense, but when it gets in my account, I'm like, okay,
I'll take it.
That's
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
We-
by the way, Devin, in our text messages about that, fuck you. I'm really angry at when you were like, I'm making a lot more money and I can't get stimulus money. I was really offended.
You were offended by that?
Super offended.
You were flexing.
No.
You were flexing.
Big flex.
You had a big bulging bank account.
exactly.
Whatever. I just want my $30, all right? To go to McDonald's.
Anyways, like a year ago, I thought McDonald's was the worst, and now it's like my go-to.
And Phil, when you go there in the morning or at lunchtime, there's a line a mile long.
True.
And it still only takes like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and that's why
I don't think 90% of the people there are drunk in the cars.
and that's why I don't believe this Burger King thing because I
85%.
never see people at Burger King.
Me neither.
And McDonald's
neither.
is always packed. So
Well, here's what it comes down to. So when it comes to just burgers, Burger King is known for their burgers more than McDonald's is.
Yeah, I wonder if
McDonald's
that.
makes a lot more of their money off of breakfast and
Yeah.
off of coffee.
oh yeah.
I will, yeah.
It's
Yeah, I wonder if
meals.
that stat
Of all
was
the
leaving
fast
off
food-
chicken sandwiches
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the breakfast sandwiches.
Of all the
and
fast food
those
places, I will say McDonald's has the best like black coffee, iced coffee.
Yep, they've got good
100%.
coffee.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
joking.
I
Good
love
coffee.
it.
Oh, good's the right word.
I'm not joking at all. McDonald's uses Starbucks beans.
Do they really?
They
Yeah,
do.
that's fair.
That's why-
I mean, I
They
love
don't taste the
Starbucks
same.
and McDonald's coffee.
Go look it up.
I love their brown coffee too.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Stop it.
But by the way, if you're interested, if you go into a McDonald's and order a coffee, you get way more options of things you can add into that coffee than if you go through the drive-through.
Or if you use the app to order it ahead of time, you can have them add in all sorts of stuff.
I mean, it's like
Why?
crazy. It's
I mean,
like-
I think we should have a different discussion on this at some point in time. Is coffee should just be coffee. No caramel,
you're just straight black.
no white whipped
Straight
cream,
black.
straight black.
Is this
Let's
another?
save that for later. I think Jeff has a couple more topics.
Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead. I'm just
Really?
saying.
So
I can't handle it.
so
I can't
on
do
that,
it.
what's
I'm not a fan.
Really?
I can do it, of
No.
course, but I don't like it.
It's not coffee. If you like say I have coffee every morning, but throw in like 5 pounds of sugar, it's not coffee.
or just a little bit of sugar.
It's still
Doesn't
not
have to be
coffee.
5 pounds.
Well,
Just
fine.
a little bit of
It's
cream.
not coffee.
What?
So
That's
what,
my stance.
so one interesting thing about that is any of these studies where they say that there's a benefit to drinking coffee, like
It's always black.
It's always black.
It's always
Yeah,
black
it's 'cause
coffee.
any
Yeah.
creamer is going to be sugar.
Right.
You're just adding sugar
Yeah.
to your coffee.
It's the same thing with alcohol. They want you to drink like 4 ounces, which is ridiculous. Like to get the health benefits, 4 ounces, really?
Yeah.
Is that red wine or is that vodka?
That is everything. I don't know.
Jeff,
We're clear.
Anyway, sorry. What was the next topic, Jeff?
Do I really have to? I supply more topics. I've
Well,
got.
you came in
You
with like
literally said
yeah.
you wanted to do this.
Listen, this is a really topical situation, given the date, which is January, beginning of January. Super
The
important.
date,
thing
which
to
is,
talk
I'm not sure. It's a date in January.
For the record, it is
date-
January 8th, everybody.
You don't want to date our
To the
podcast.
1.5 people listening to this.
It doesn't even matter because
and a half.
it's going to be one of those things that bombs right now, but in like 30 years becomes a cult classic. Like,
Yeah.
remember this
We're all-
podcast 30 years ago?
Remember that
It'll be, like,
podcast?
so cringy, but people love the
They're
cringe.
going to be like, remember that podcast that one brown kid was on and
Yeah.
never went to any other podcast?
Is that going to be the episode of our episode, or the name of the episode 3 is going to be 1 billion served?
No, I like
1
it.
billion listened. 1 billion streamed.
I have a lot more I can say about
Mike,
McDonald's.
actually, finish your thoughts on McDonald's. Let's go back to McDonald's.
No,
Mike,
we're not backtracking.
please. Hey, Michael, please.
We haven't fully transitioned
Our
yet.
listeners
Michael
need to
Trout.
know, Mike.
Ray Kroc was a huge dick.
Who?
Yeah, we watched the movie.
Yeah.
Wait, what movie?
Who?
You didn't see the McDonald's movie?
The founder.
No,
The founder.
that's a Super Size Me one, right?
Oh,
No, it's about the
Michael,
story of Ray
Michael
Kroc.
Keaton,
Oh,
yeah, the Michael
no.
Keaton one. What was it called, Mike? Do you remember?
The founder.
the founder.
Founder?
The founder.
Okay. It's
I
actually
had
pretty
to see it.
Yeah, those poor guys
He
got.
was straight up business guy. That's
Yeah.
like
He's
all
the
it was.
Chris.
And he liked the McDonald's
Mike.
burger.
You never would have had McDonald's if it wasn't for dicks. Think about it.
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Think
True.
of all those other places like In and Out that never made it anywhere.
Amen and a
Well,
women.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, tell us more about your feelings about McDonald's.
Eating there more makes it so it's harder to lose weight, but I don't really gain weight from going there.
Is this an opinion or a scientific fact?
All right, Mike.
Well,
that's-
along the same lines, here's my
And
question.
that was another
kind of
episode of Deep Thoughts with Mike.
tangent wise. Do we feel ashamed eating at Taco Bell as much as we feel ashamed eating at McDonald's?
Oh,
No.
That's a good one
So
because we
Taco-
should.
Because we should.
feel more
Not a
ashamed.
I
stigma.
100% don't think Taco Bell is any good unless it's like 12 p.m. until
Yeah.
3 a.m. That's
Well,
all.
agree.
And if
Taco
you don't have a
Bell-
Del Taco around,
So I just ate there with Bear
Del
the other
Taco.
night, and I think Taco Bell is by far the least healthiest place you can eat.
No, I
right?
read
More-
more.
it's a-
Granted,
Why?
It's a taco made out of a Dorito.
granted, this
If
is
you
like
get that.
this is like 2
I
years
grant
ago.
You if you
Tacos
get that
Locos
item.
is
Yeah,
so
but they have
good.
just regular,
So
like
I
a
watched this
Yeah.
like a BuzzFeed video like 2-3 years ago, and this made him change. But according to this BuzzFeed video on YouTube, Taco Bell is like the most healthiest menu out there among all the fast food restaurants.
No.
really interesting.
next to the Whopper,
Except for
Del,
the Dorito.
Del Taco, I would
No,
agree
I'm
with.
like no, I. Anyways, I'm just saying that I don't know if it's true or not, but
Let's
It's-
find out.
that's what
it's
right
fake
now.
news.
Del Taco, I would agree. They've got like a whole crisper full of vegetables back there.
Del
that
Taco
they
fries
chopped
are
up.
amazing.
Yeah. But Taco Bell is like straight up
Have you ever had their fish tacos? So good.
Del Taco?
Del Taco's fish
Beer
tacos.
battered fish tacos?
Beer battered fish tacos are really good.
Now, I think that Beto's is the healthiest because it goes right through me.
Yeah.
So nothing
Yeah,
extra.
It's a natural laxative.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
no-
I want
nothing's
Beto's so bad right now.
It's like so gross now.
Wait, was it
lose-
Beto's and then Rancheritos, or was it Rancheritos?
I believe
and
it was.
Beto's?
I believe it was
Beto's,
Beto's first.
Rancheritos, El Los Bertos, Los
There's
Guarbertos,
just Roberto's. now as
Robertos.
You know what I miss? I miss Hoagie Yogi.
Hoagie, yeah.
Teriyaki sticks.
Hoagie Yogi had sprouts.
Teriyaki.
Ooh,
That's
don't
amazing.
say sprouts. It
Um,
makes me sick.
well. WebMD says
Actually,
KFC is the healthiest fast food. So
Because
That's
it's a
because
lot
they're
of
just catering
protein.
to China.
yeah,
Because
they, they paid for the
No,
number one
but
spot.
seriously, KFC is huge in China.
Is
I
that?
was reading this whole article about it.
Yeah, they're
How-
it's
It's big in Korea too.
It's in Japan too, according to Cobra Kai.
All right.
Is that our transition?
That's our transition, Devin.
Is that our
You missed
segue?
it.
I'm about at the end.
Okay, this is gonna sound like a dumb question, but what's Cobra Kai?
It's a Netflix
really
series.
good show on Netflix. You should watch it.
Yeah.
I don't have Netflix.
Tyler, did you watch The Karate Kid? Have you seen Karate Kid?
Oh God, years ago. That's with the Ralph guy, right? Yeah.
Machi,
Mr.
Machi. Yeah.
Ralph
Like-
Macchio.
Was,
remember the bad
was that the one
karate?
with the Will Smith kid? Wasn't he in Karate Kid?
He was in
He
a
did
Karate
a
Kid.
remake.
He was in
Yeah.
the
Wait,
So
remake.
what's Cobra Kai then?
So Cobra Kai is a Netflix show, which is what happened to the guy who he beats in that final fight, the blonde-haired bully kid,
Oh, okay.
who's on the
Right.
team Cobra Kai. What happens to him when he grows up?
And this is his story.
And it is
His
hilarious.
story, yeah.
It's a comedy?
So funny.
It's a dramedy.
it has some.
It's
funny
more
bits.
comedy than drama.
Yeah,
But there's
that's
some
right.
like weird
It-
teen
The
drama.
last
And
Netflix
it's-
show I binged is The Queen's Gambit.
That was really good.
I wanted
That
to
was
watch
really
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that one a few
It
weeks
wasn't
ago.
Bridgerton?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
My wife.
sorry,
has
it
gotten
was
really into
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton is number
Bridgerton
3 in the
is
country
really
right
good.
now.
Bridgerton is a straight up porno. I don't know why anybody watches Bridgerton and thinks that's any better
I
than
haven't
Game of Thrones.
I haven't
That's
seen
on
Maybe
Like,
that's why
Netflix.
Jeff
like
doesn't have
maybe 3 scenes.
I haven't actually watched Bridgerton. I walked in to a sex scene that my wife was watching.
There
And
was
it
like there was like maybe 3.
but it was like 15 straight minutes of sex. Seriously,
I
that's
gotta
not
remember
a
that
joke.
So 15 Devon minutes of sex.
It felt like so long in my mind.
Netflix has gotten really porny, like a lot of their shows.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it's seriously.
I wouldn't consider
super
Bridgerton a very porny show.
I
It's-
only. I haven't
I
seen
know
it,
it's very
so I can't say.
dramatic. It's like Downton Abbey for modern age, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But anyway, sorry.
Is it Honey Boo Boo that's in it or something?
there is a big girl.
Just
But the rumor
that
is
she looks
the,
like Honey Boo Boo.
The black guy in Bridgerton is going to be the new James Bond, which
wow.
I'm all for. Black
I'd be in
guys
for
are
that.
awesome.
I'd watch that.
Did you watch Bridgerton,
Who's
Mike?
the guy?
I'd
I
watch
don't know, but he's hot.
the
Look him up.
James Bond that Tyler's talking about.
Bridgerton.
I have no comment on whether
Bridgerton black guy?
no,
So you have. Don't lie. Is Cage into it, or did you watch it alone? Mike, be honest.
I've never watched it alone.
So nope, keep going up. So.
Is he from
So, Devin, for you, it just happened kinda like how our parents would always walk in on us
Page?
when we're watching the worst part of the movie.
We
That's what
took a
happened to you.
trip to Texas to visit my
that woman.
my wife's
is who you're talking about.
family.
No,
No,
Regé Jean Page.
and my wife and my sister-in-law started watching it together and got really into
I
it.
did
So I was
hear
actually,
that he
hanging
was
out
going to
with,
be
like
it.
the whole season, like 2 seasons.
He
were
had
being watched.
coronavirus.
So I actually ended up seeing quite a bit of it.
So wait,
It's this guy.
But there was
Regé-
like a 15
Regé Jean
minute sex scene. I'm
Page.
not
Oh,
joking.
she's
Yes, that's him.
she. Oh, that guy. Oh, she's the new 007 in the new film.
a female 007?
Yeah, in the one
That's what they're
that's
doing?
coming out. So James Bond isn't 007, I guess, in this movie.
How can they?
Don't know what that means.
James Bond has to be 007.
Well, he isn't. It's that woman.
Is her name James? Because that's not possible.
No, don't be.
I'm sorry. Back to the question: is Taco Bell trashier than McDonald's?
I think
No.
Yeah,
that it doesn't have the
100%.
same stigma.
No,
that McDonald's does.
No,
it doesn't have the stigma, but it is actually trashy.
McDonald was birthed out of the stigma of trashiness and has gotten to be a lot more acceptable. Taco Bell has always been like the fast food Mexican place that people go to.
It's not
but-
Mexican.
Well, the fast food Mexican style American food place.
Listen, when it all boils down to it, next
Del Taco's
topic.
better.
It's surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, or interestingly, but the only other restaurant that we have in the parking lot of my building is a Taco Bell. So
It's a
we're
very trashy place. to work
co-workers
at.
went to McDonald's and Taco
Have you
Bell.
had the
a lot.
chalupa with the cheese? Not even the Dorito one, but like the cheese.
The fried cheese? Yeah, I have actually.
Remember when we worked at Focus? Did anyone here work at Focus? I guess not.
I did.
What's the
Fair.
one that it's the Supreme Crunchwrap Supreme, right?
That's good.
Little boy.
That's the one where you
know.
can eat while you're driving. That's the only thing I get for it.
It's- in general, Taco Bell is hard to eat while you're driving. It's true.
Are you leaving, Mike?
No,
Haven't mentioned
we
him at
haven't
all.
talked about
no,
So,
not
yeah.
doing that.
Mitt Romney is running for president in 2024.
No, he's not.
Is he? No.
So, what will you guys give me if he does?
Real time fact checking. No,
I wouldn't
nope,
be
he's
surprised
not.
if he does. so I wouldn't make a
I
bet on
would
that.
I will
very
genuinely
surprised.
believe this podcast will go somewhere if he does.
I will.
You
You
would
think he
be
won't
surprised,
run?
Mike?
I don't think he
I'd be
will.
You
very
think he's
surprised.
making all these
Why? You
public
think he's too
comments
old or
just because
what?
he's like,
I'm just hoping the
getting
rapture
old.
happens before
It's a huge
2024.
deal, and he didn't. The reason he didn't do it again was because he didn't want to put his family through it. Although everybody was like, "Man, please run," and he still didn't do it.
And
So-
now all of Utah hates him. So that makes
So
it
for
even
some-
And now all of
less.
Utah thinks he's a rhino, whatever that.
What's a
so
rhino?
for someone who doesn't want to
Republican
put
in
his
name
family
only.
through it, he sure puts his
Fake
neck out on the
Republican.
block a lot.
Oh, I-
panders to the wealthy or whoever,
So,
whether they're left or right.
Rhino means Republican name only, but I don't know how he could be one if he votes like 75-80% of the time with Donald Trump. Like, I don't know.
Well,
why.
Yeah, it's more than just your
makes
vote.
Donald
It's
super
who you
moderate.
pander
Well,
to.
Donald Trump is pretty moderate,
that-
so
No, but yeah, but what's kind of crazy is just if you vote only 80% of the time with your party, you are very moderate.
These days, at least.
Yeah, these days, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
So-
80% is like way low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so isn't what did you guys say? That's part of the problem, though. With the just shouldn't it
Politics in general, that it's a team
politics
sport
in
now.
general that you aren't allowed to compromise in any way, shape, or form
right.
anymore?
Like if people like if you can expect how anybody is going to vote on any particular issue, I think they're just dumb.
Well, except
They're not-
for, are you talking about an individual or a politician?
An individual politician.
Because shouldn't a
Politician.
politician be voting the way that the people in the area they come from want them to be voting? So you really should be able to
Well-
predict what a politician.
No, because the
yeah.
people that they come from should be more dynamic than predictable. I mean,
Maybe.
they are in general anyway.
Maybe it depends on what you're talking
That's
about.
just not how it works right now, though.
Yeah.
That brings up an interesting thing that I've thought the media should do when we're going back to what we believe the media should and shouldn't do. I think that we should take the R and the D off of the subtitle of when somebody's talking, a politician is talking, because that I think would probably promote listening more than, because it's in, for most people, if there's a D after their name, most people are not, half the people in the United States aren't going to listen to what they're saying, and vice versa.
What was kind of despicable is when this Air Force veteran just got shot and killed at this rally. That like pretty much everyone's going on about that she's QAnon or whatever. Like, well, why does that matter? Like, who cares what her political affiliation was?
Well, we
Right.
just had a whole discussion at the beginning of this as to what political affiliation the people were that stormed the Capitol, and she was one of them, right?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, why does it matter what political affiliation they were?
Tell you what, I agree with what Jake's saying, which is that we should remove the R and the D before, because there are lots of Democrats and I like what they have to say about certain subjects, and there are Republicans that I'm like, you're an idiot. I hate you. Like, why are you even existing right now?
Like Ted
But-
Cruz.
Yeah, I hate.
Sorry,
I hate
Mike.
his fear.
Sorry, Mike.
Hate everything about him. I'm just kidding. But like,
I'm gonna
we
tell
do
you.
need to go. And frankly, I think that Biden needs to do more than just talk about uniting the country, but actually do some actions that are going to contribute to that.
I hope he does. Yeah, me too.
I hope he does too. And so far, it's pretty divisive, in my opinion.
I
So
agree.
Just like the houses of Hogwarts.
So yeah, the whole thing with let's not be divisive now. It's like we were divisive. Oh, now everything's on us and it's our responsibility. It's like, oh, okay, let's get along now, because now we don't want people, criticizing us and
I
fighting
can
us.
see
We want
how-
everyone to get along now.
That is hypocritical, but I think Trump maybe is a special case for a lot of people.
Yeah, he's
What do
orange.
you mean, Mike?
Oh,
Explain
What do you
it.
mean by that?
That he's splitting his own party, even like it's at that.
You know what?
Let me
No,
see if I can
I-
make
I-
my thoughts.
I agree with that. He is.
He's splitting his own party, even, and people that are staunch Republicans for a long time really hate Donald Trump, just because of how he is, and so I think that's a special case for a lot of people.
That is true. I mean, look at how many of his cabinet members have resigned in the past month.
And I like that about Donald Trump. Donald Trump split his party as soon as he started running and said that George Bush made the biggest blunder in U.S. history by invading Iraq, and he's an idiot. And Jeb Bush, his brother, is also an idiot. That was a huge knife right down the middle of the Republican Party, and I like that kind of thing. I think that leaders should split with their parties a lot. He split with the NRA type thing with gun rights. He called cabinet, or not cabinet members, but other congressmen and senators out right on national television and said, "Oh, they're not going to act on this gun thing because they're afraid of the NRA."
Right, but it's his outspokenness not because he really genuinely believes he's doing the right thing, or he's doing it because it's more self-interest. That's where a lot of my issue with Trump is people like cite these type of arguments of just like he's doing the right thing. It's like, no, he's doing the right thing for him. He's always been a self-interest person, and that's, to me, not what makes a great president.
I think largely that's the case, but I think there's also a lot of situations or instances is the word I should say, like the one I pointed out with the NRA, where there's not really any self-interest. He doesn't gain anything by like going against the NRA, except to show that he doesn't care. He's not one of these Republicans cowering to this organization, just like Democrats cower to unions, for example. He's just saying, this is what I think on this issue. I think we could change some gun.
Right. And I think, speaking to Mike's point, Trump is just that special case, in my opinion. Yeah. He, to me, is just not a good person. He's just not a good person. And decisions he make, sure, benefit certain aspects, certain organizations, certain people, and all that. But that's only because it serves his self-interest.
And if that's his only thing that he has going for him is, he speaks his mind, and sometimes that's divisive. But so what? So that's his only thing he has going for him.
I think in politics right now, that's actually the most important thing is to go against your own party.
Not if the things you're saying aren't helpful.
You don't think that's helpful for him to be like, we need to revise gun laws?
I think maybe that particular statement might be helpful. I mean, in general, Trump makes a lot of statements that are against the Republican Party or things people don't expect him to say, but they're not particularly good or helpful. They're not helping our country. So just because they're going against his own party, why does it matter?
Here's what I'd throw out in that question, though, is that should we just continue down the exact same path where we have the Republicans and the Democrats that are just kind of doing their own thing, playing their own game, and playing puppets with everything? To me, that is also not helpful.
Yeah, and I agree, but it's so we have this situation that we don't like, and we have someone who came along who is doing something different, but it's not good. That's not the right solution.
No, but that's an opinion. See, what I'm saying is the divisive nature and the way that he is behaving is a bull in a china shop. That this china shop has been corrupt and screwing over the people that it's supposed to be working for so long that it's shining light on certain situations and certain ideas. I'm not saying Trump's good. What I'm saying is he's not playing the same game that has been being played for the last 30, 40 years. That's just been, in my opinion, taking America down a hole.
But do you think he's conscious enough to know that he's not doing that, or do you think he's just that's where I come into it?
He's just the bull in the shop.
He's just the bull. He's just the bull in the china shop. He doesn't.
He is the most conscious president we've ever had.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming into play. Is sure, he's ruffling feathers. Sure, he's doing things that are making waves and whatever. But it's not because of any other interest other than his own. That's where I'm coming into play.
So.
I think that if he was only looking out for himself, he would have stayed being a billionaire, guy that's just
who everybody loved.
But that's the thing is
Oprah really liked him.
I mean,
other people that were saying that
he said he's a Republican.
What, Mike?
But no, I think about it. Think of the most selfish thing to be in America would be the president of the United States.
So
yeah, George in the selfish.
Well, I'm just saying for his personality, for the way that he presents himself and the way that he thinks of the world, I am so egotistical. Think about it. If you're that egotistical, you think that you're that selfish, what's the most important position in the United States of America?
Missionary.
I have more.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He is so egotistical.
Missionary.
He's that was Bolter. He's so selfish. He's so not a good person that he thinks of himself that important that he needs to be the president of the United States.
I don't doubt that was a huge factor in why he wanted to be president. ego. It's like it's same thing with Hillary. It's like the next chip on my thing or whatever. For Donald Trump,
Notch on my belt.
notch on my belt, chip on my forehead,
On my old block.
on my old block. But there are a lot of things that like Trump has done that I think can only really be interpreted as like more philanthropic, like really things that kind of torpedo him and himself, but not, but are good things. Like one, for example, is when he was campaigning. Remember, he came out and said, if you guys don't know this, all of your politicians are taking money from companies and they return favors for that. He said, I've done that 100 times. I pay for, I give politicians money, I get favors in return. Like that's a big deal because he's coming out and saying, I'm corrupt. And also everybody else is corrupt. I know it because I'm a part of that system and it needs to change.
But we all knew that. And did he change it?
Right. But who else came out and admitted to that in the last 200 years? Who's ever come out and said that?
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, it's just
It's just back to the McDonald's argument.
Everybody
We all know
knows
about
that.
it.
Everybody knows that. But who has actually done it has actually come out and admitted
But why do we need that? Why was that helpful?
Well, to Phil's and Jeff's point, how many people voted in the last election?
And
More
you
than
think
there
that's
were,
because
more
he
than there
came out
registered
and said,
voters.
No, I think it's because he is so divisive, and yeah, he stirred the pot, and he was a China or the bull in the
The Chinese in the bull shop.
he's the Chinese bull.
I like
hunk-
Jake's answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we can all agree that Biden didn't win because he was a better president. Biden won because nobody wanted Trump
Right.
as president.
sure.
And they spent a record amount of money.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, you
ridiculous
just take a look at the
amount of
Navajo
money to get
Nation
in.
itself. Very traditionally have been Republican voting people, but because Trump was so bad, they all switched to Biden. So it's just like that's why.
Yeah.
And to Devin's point is like, sure, he came in and like said, "Hey, this is all corrupt," but like, what did he actually do? He didn't.
I think it was a racist thing that Trump lost because Trump's orange and Biden's so white.
Yeah.
true.
They're just an underrepresentation of the Oompa Loompas in this country, is what you're pointing out. So.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm glad you're here.
So this is actually a good segue into my little segment.
No.
Oh God.
It's gonna be great.
Mitt
So
Romney.
It sounds like for a bathroom.
Please.
Maybe.
we're saying goodbye to Donald Trump, right? He's no
I
longer
have
going to
I have 4 minutes
Did
left.
he?
now.
President.
Did he concede yet? Officially?
Yeah.
be.
He did.
He said he had a statement where he essentially said there will be a new administration. So that was his choice of wording.
That was his way of saying
that's like as far as he could go.
I accept
And I
that.
will not attend the inauguration.
Yeah, he said he won't attend the inauguration, but he admitted he said there will be another.
I hate to cut in, but did you hear what Biden said today about him not coming to the inauguration?
He said, I'm glad you're not coming, right?
Yeah,
He said, "I'm glad you're not coming. It's the first thing that we've ever agreed upon."
I mean, I actually think that's funny.
It's hilarious. I was like, oh, I hope that knife feels okay in your side there, Donald.
See, he's bringing people together already.
That's
Oh, it's
right.
so not-
That's all he cares about is unifying.
See, he's actually the most giving president in history because as
we
his,
were talking about Biden.
Trump, because as his final gift to everybody, he brought the nation together by getting
All he
everyone
had
to
to do
hate
was
him.
kill 5 people.
Yep, and he killed 5 people. And
I'm just not
he's the greatest
excited.
ever.
I'm just not excited that we have a career politician back in office as president.
Not only a career politician back in office as president, he got all 3. He got the House, he got the Senate, he got the presidency.
So that's that happens every time a new president is elected.
Not always.
What would have been incredibly embarrassing is if they didn't get the Senate, because that would be the first time I think they've said in like 120 years that an incoming president wouldn't have control of all 3.
First time in 120 years?
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't know that.
So
I'll tell you the first thing that scared me about, and I don't know how true this was. I heard it on one report that Biden has come out and said what his plan is for cracking down on guns, and this is the first specific thing that I've heard, and he's talking about setting up through executive order a tax on AR-15 style rifles and 30 plus magazine rounds. The way that this tax is going to work is that you have to register those things with the federal government, and every year you have to pay taxes on them.
On
And
the
so if
rounds
you-
too?
No, not on the rounds, just on the magazines over 30 rounds.
Oh, the
over
magazine
30
over.
round magazine, and then any AR type rifle. Okay.
Ugh.
If you don't pay your taxes on those things that you have registered, you end up basically getting a criminal record.
So what is the justification there? Like rich people don't commit crimes, so people who are able to afford that tax every year, they'll be fine? Like what's
You know, it's funny. The guy that was presenting this information
To
online
de-incentivize getting.
was saying exactly what you're saying, that now the rich people are going to have guns and poor people aren't. I don't think that's what it's all about. I think they're just trying to make it as difficult as possible because they can't make it illegal.
The first
Sure.
thing they,
So-
the first thing
one
they
other
can
thing
do is
about it
tax.
is- whenever you tax something, then you are allowed to regulate it, and that's part of the main reason why churches aren't taxed is because you don't want to be regulating churches if you can avoid it. And so that's the first step to being able to regulate everything is to tax it. So now you make it so you have to register your gun and your big magazines every year so that they can keep track of where it all is, and then if they want to take it away, so that's the big scare is that if they know where everything is, they could potentially take it away.
So in Massachusetts, that's how it is. It's $500 a year, and I didn't do it. F you, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Mitt
broke the
Romney.
law?
I
You
broke
had
the law,
gun and
had the
didn't do it.
gun, didn't do it. Right here, come and get. Hey, don't say my last name.
Phil.
Even though all of our information
but all
is on
it
our
does,
website.
and when you talk to the local people, all it did was make all the lower income gun owners criminals. So it's really like this targeting type of law where, if you can afford it.
Isn't
The
Kamala Harris
comment-
for that though? Making more people criminals?
Exactly.
No, I don't think so. I think the comment I made earlier, though, was not to say that their intent is to make it easier for rich people and harder for poor people. But that's
what it's doing.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what it will end up doing.
Well, and you can take it a step further and say who is the lowest income earners in the United States, and it's minorities, right? So
It's
really,
me,
it's a
guys.
race.
It's Tyler.
It's a race.
They're taxing
don't
you,
want-
Tyler.
What I'm trying to say is Biden doesn't want you to have firearms.
Biden only wants white people to have
That's right.
firearms.
Rich
Right.
white
And I
people.
think race.
I'm going to show up Biden. I actually don't want any guns. So
You don't care.
Dang it! Shoot.
I'm going to bid you all good night.
Bye, Mike.
Buenos noches.
It's 11.
Mike, you didn't even bring it tonight.
Still want to know about the whole
You
McDonald's
started
thing.
off on this grand journey through McDonald's, and then I can't even remember the punchline, but it was so unmemorable.
The punchline was like, it turns out I don't lose weight when I eat
No.
McDonald's.
But it's harder to lose weight when I do, but I don't gain it when I
And
do.
then I lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's probably what it was. That's
Mike,
what it was. It was
I
like I
do
lost my
appreciate
train
your
of thought.
love for McDonald's coffee. So we'll.
I like it too. I think McDonald's coffee's great.
It's kind of got that sour. Mwah.
Mwah.
So sour.
But black coffee.
It has je ne sais quoi.
Wait. I want to finish that off. Who in this group drinks their coffee black? Tyler.
I mean, it
We
starts
shouldn't
out-
say full names. Indian
It
Joe.
Lightfoot.
You need cigars yourself.
Littlefoot.
I don't drink
Littlefoot.
poison.
That's what you want. Littlefoot.
Littlefoot.
So of the seven of us,
I'm not going to do that.
4 drink
I
coffee.
drink my coffee as Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
Coffee is
So
Satan.
incredibly sugared.
Coffee is
like
Satan's
my-
diarrhea.
Phil drinks his coffee super sugared. So does Jake. Do you drink soda, Jake?
I do. I just had a
I
can
drink
of
syrup.
soda. I drink
Yeah.
about 2 cans of soda
Jeff
a
and Mike.
Syrup.
2 cans of soda. What?
week.
I
A week?
drink my coffee like Obama. Weak.
half white.
Half white. Yeah.
I'm offended.
That's how I
I don't
drink
know
my
why,
coffee,
but I should
too.
be offended.
Just like Obama.
I totally did not make that joke, but it's hilarious, right?
Okay, so there's 3 of us that
Mike.
drink coffee.
Am I right?
4 of us.
Heavy cream.
Us two, Mike and Jeff.
A little bit of half and half.
Black coffee.
Wait, say it again,
Heavy-
Mike.
I do coffee with just a little bit of half and half in it.
No sugar, no honey, nothing.
I don't
else.
add sugar. I don't add honey. I just add some half and half.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Not really.
Mike, are you okay?
No, I'm like really sick.
Why?
COVID again?
No, it's not.
Mike,
Well,
I
mean,
love you, and I mean this with the utmost love I have.
I get sick all the time.
Go for a
Are you
fucking
dying?
walk. Move around. Do something. Please.
Hey, Mike took his shirt off early before you guys logged in. He's doing all right.
He's doing all right.
You're
I love
looking
you.
good, Mike.
You did look good, Mike.
Minus the Ted Cruz looking
COVID's been treating you well.
part of it. You look amazing.
Actually, though, honestly, Mike, you do look like a little bit healthier than I've seen you at certain times. Of
How's your
life
back?
in the past? Are you exercising?
I'm not exercising.
Are you McDonalding?
Are you on a McDonald's diet?
I am McDonald'sing.
So you're losing weight.
So I'm losing weight.
No, not as long as he's McDonald'sing, he doesn't lose weight.
That's how I plateau.
Oh, okay.
But you're healthy. No, you're not healthy. Sorry. You're not
Oh
healthy.
no, I'm not.
I just feel like you've been sick for the past, like, I don't know, 6 months.
I've been
6 months.
I feel like every time in Marco Polo, you're like, I'm just like not feeling good. I'm like, oh.
Mike is
okay.
sick a lot.
here's what happens. Here's what
McDonald's.
happens. In August, I got hit by a car, and it ruptured
right.
3 of my discs, and it has made me extremely ill in the back. Not in a germ sense, but physiologically. But I'm going to start physical therapy next week, so that's fun.
Is that the accident I
physical therapy?
watched and kept driving?
Yep.
So it's Jake's fault.
Literally saw that
I'm like,
accident.
hey, that's my best friend since. Oh,
I know that truck.
So you're doing physical therapy?
it's not going to help me. I'm going to start
Good
physical therapy
Samaritan.
Tuesday.
You're starting what?
Tuesday, I'm starting physical therapy for my back. Hopefully, I'll be able to pick up my kids again.
You know, I've heard acupuncture is a really good form of recovery.
My uncle is an acupuncturist.
Really?
I always
So
wanted
he
to
would
be an
agree with me.
acupressure
I
therapist.
guarantee you would agree with
Near
me.
my
Yes.
office.
I hope so.
I hear that acupuncture is malarkey.
That's what I hear too. Sorry, Uncle
From
Pat.
your uncle.
From your uncle.
I will say though, Mike, the other form of
But he makes a lot of
healing
money
that
off
I
of it.
suggest is just a little bit of vodka
A little bit of vodka.
In your cereal.
in your
Don't do that.
No,
That
yeah,
sounds
don't.
gross.
That sounds.
It's
terrible.
been a very long time since I've had a little bit of vodka.
Mike vodka is Satan's urine. So don't do it.
Satan's urine makes me feel good.
That doesn't. I don't disagree, but I'm okay with it.
It's been a long time since Mike had a little bit of vodka, but he had a lot yesterday.
A lot of it. You know, a lot of it.
Well,
Yeah.
Mike, I salute you, and get healthy.
Thank you, friend.
Get well soon. We want you to get well.
It'll be nice.
Oh, by the way, sorry. Before you take off, I wanted to point out, Bud asked me to genuinely thank you guys for all the help you've done with his organization. So
You're welcome.
He's
bud.
still going? Still doing stuff?
Organization being Navajo Strong.
Yeah, we need to
Navo
go.
Strong, NavoStrong.org.
Go ahead.
Donate.
What is it?
Send
Way to
money.
plug it.
What is
3 years later
NavajoStrong.org?
when
Fully
people-
plug it. What is-
Yeah, what is it?
somebody-
What is
Tyler?
it? What can people do?
So NavoStrong.org is a organization, nonprofit organization to help the Navajo community on the reservation for those that have been affected by COVID severely. So what we do is basically we gather supplies, anything from just food in general to sanitizing stuff, and we put it in bins and we send them down on the reservation. So that's kind of what we've been doing the past couple months.
And it's not so bad. You can get in contact with Bud and
It's a full
Get involved.
nonprofit. If you go to NavoStrong.org, you can donate through whatever online means, PayPal, Venmo, anything like that. And it all goes to that. And just trying to help out some families.
Let me just translate for you real quick. White people, there are poor brown people out there that only you can help.
Wow.
So please donate.
Wow.
people.
I'm offended.
I see white people.
and just a little more information on that is in case you don't know, the Navajo Nation was hit really hard by COVID.
Yeah.
Part
Part of it is due to the way that they live. So,
Right.
I mean,
Sanitation.
sanitation. Like my grandparents barely in the concept of like years just got running water like maybe 7 years ago at their house.
Wow.
So a lot of it is just like this kind of poverty level, which in my mind, I never even occurred because that's just how it was. You know, we'd go to the summer and we'd take baths in a metal tub and things like
Bring
that.
your water bottles.
Yeah. And so, anyways, so it's just living conditions, not a lot of sanitation. It takes 2 hours to get to a grocery store. So just
And the grocery stores are all sold out still? Is that Are they still
Yeah,
hit?
so because it hit so bad, a lot of the Navajo Nation went into lockdown. So, from Friday at 5 p.m. to Monday at 6 a.m., you were quarantined, couldn't leave your house. And a lot of these people live unhealthy lifestyles because they don't have access to, regular food places like you would have, if that makes sense.
Like a Whole Food.
Like a what? Yeah, like a Whole Foods. There's no Trader Joe's on the corner down at the Navajo Reservation. So it's they were hit pretty hard. So we've been just trying to help with that. So anyways, for anyone who's listening, these group of white men have come and helped with the nonprofit and doing some labor and all that. So
Our hearts are so big.
so big.
We're wonderful.
So I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. My brother appreciates it. You guys are awesome.
Well, you're welcome, Bud and Tyler.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bud Frazier at Bud Frazier on places.
I think it's at
Social
Bud
media.
Frage. Can we say that on? No.
Yeah. Say whatever you want.
It's up to you.
Get it out,
Yeah.
last name? No, just NavajoStrong.org.
Just keep in mind that you and your organization are going to be attached to this. So people are going to be listening to everything that we said, and then that's involved. So
Literally, Phil's in-laws and one other person will hear this.